What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday night edition of the Awakening World. I am your host, Love Coach Scott Thomas, and I'm just so excited to share this incredible vision with all of you tonight. It's going to be a very inspirational evening, and we really want to make it a very inclusive evening. We want to hear from all of you about this vision of the 6 agreements. What does it mean to you? How do you relate to it? Are you ready to commit to it? Which is a wonderful thing. I want to welcome everybody who's in our Zoom room. It's great to see all of you here. And I want to really invite the people that are watching on Facebook and on YouTube to join us. Big thanks to Alan Steinfeld. He's going to be joining us tonight. He always plays this on his YouTube channel. Thank you to the Conscious Awakening Network, our newest broadcast partner. And a big thanks to John and Summer Raymer on the Sign Network. They get us out to over 100 Facebook groups and pages, which is probably how most of you are watching us right now. That's great. It's wonderful to watch us that way, but we can't interact with you very easily. So come on into the Zoom room. I'm inviting you to join the Global Peace Tribe. And it's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and you'll see a little button here that says register for the new season, and click it. And when you click that button, that takes you to our registration page. We do 3 or sometimes more shows every weekend, or I should say every week now, because we have a Wednesday night show with all sorts of amazing, wonderful hosts, presenters. All of our shows are very inspiring and informational. For example, this week on Wednesday night, we had a really fascinating show on all about plant medicine and microdosing. And I got to tell you, I learned a lot. We had 4 amazing experts, and they showed a lot of wisdom. Of course, here's tonight's show, all about the 6 global agreements. And then tomorrow on our Sacred Sunday show, we're doing something for the first time, a community conversation, just giving everybody a chance to show and tell and share a little bit more about themselves, maybe their products, their services. And we're going to be talking about the upcoming retreat in Southern California. So come and join us, because we're going to ask many of you to comment. Now, you can comment on tonight's show in the chat box, and Larisa or I can read it. But if you've got your camera on and you want to comment, we're going to put in the camera on many of you. So don't worry if you're in your pajamas. Most of us are wearing pajama bottoms anyway. Come and join us. It's going to be beautiful. All right. I am so grateful for Larisa Stow. She is one of the absolutely most inspiring human beings I've ever met. And the more I get to know her as a friend and as a collaborator, the more she just opens my heart with her profound commitment to community, her profound commitment to her family, both her immediate blood family and her big family, her Shakti Love Warrior tribe, her Global Peace tribe, and her vision for the human family. And that's what tonight's show is all about, her vision for how we all can live in harmony, whether it's our own nuclear family, our bigger global family, or the big macro family. So, Larisa, thank you so much for being with us and for what you've created tonight.
Thank you, Scott. And thank you for creating this space for us all to come together so powerfully. It is such a gift to be here and to be with all of you and to share about the WEvolution that we are creating. This is a beautiful WEspace, and I've been so inspired by what has been occurring in consciousness. And there's a birthing in consciousness. You can feel it more than ever that we're moving from like speaking the speak of collaboration and actually like what does that mean, to really link arms and hearts with each other and to lift each other up so that rather than one person's in front, like the hierarchy, right?
Right.
Of you've got this one leader and all of us looking to this one leader. It's like it is the time of us coming together with our medicine. Everybody has so much medicine. Everyone here tonight, in this Zoom room and who's gathering on Facebook, everyone here has so much to share with the world. And a lot of us may, be more behind the scenes. As like Michelle Anderson says, she's like, well, I like to be behind the scenes. And it's like, well, but you have a lot of medicine, sister, and we need you to share your medicine. And thank God she does. And then, there are those of us that are more comfortable with it. So this is just that time. And I know we're going to share some music tonight, but before I got into that, I just wanted to thank everybody for being here and joining the conversation, because tonight's going to be about not just the presenters here, but about all of us. And our intention is to create more of a WEversation.
A conversation, I like that.
A WEversation, a collective conversation about what does it mean to agree, to make these agreements with one another and have these really help us embody what it looks like to be a heart-centered consciousness on this planet. What does it look like to create the new earth? How do we embody that so that we can become that in this life?
Before you go to music, I do want to let our audience know who's going to be with us tonight. So you had mentioned Michelle, so I brought her on camera so she could smile at all your wonderful words.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second, Scott, and say that in the chat, they're talking about it being the new moon in Aquarius tonight.
Whoa.
And so as we speak this and we embody this, think about the power that we have with this window of time being a new moon to co-create it and anchor it in. Just wanted to put that in there right as we go into it. So thank you for highlighting that tonight. A lot of people are writing about it in the chat, and we thank you for that.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everybody, for bringing that up. I mean, here we are entering the Aquarian age with the 6 global agreements for that new Aquarian age. Well, I just want to let people know who else is going to be with us. Of course, as always, we have our beloved brother Omashar, who will play a couple of tunes for us tonight. And Jason Firth, who is one of Larisa's favorite play partners. What do you want to add about Jason, Larisa?
Jason is the epitome of bringing play to all situations. Like I have a tendency to take things literally in life, and Jason always inspires me as he looks at everything, with that playful viewpoint, and he really brings people together. Like he's the guy, he's the ambassador, he is the play ambassador of really creating a space for us to come together in the WEspace. So had to have Jason.
And who else we have with us, and she's one of my favorite human beings. Viraja Prema is here. And, you know, it's one of the things you and I share in common, Larisa. We have many beloveds that we both love and adore, and Viraja is certainly one of them.
I adore this woman. I call her my sissy, actually. You know, she is like, it feels like a twin in another body of spirit. And she brings so much to the table. She truly embodies that collaborative energy and spirit and bringing people together. So I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to say a shout out to my beloved Billy. He's watching this from the airplane.
Wow.
Right on.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, that's great, Billy. And some of you may remember when we had Viraja and Larisa on a show for your birthday. It was Viraja's birthday party, and we had several of your friends on, and that was a really fun and playful. I think it was a Saturday night. That was a really fun one.
Very fun.
Very amazing.
We also have with us the wonderful Bethany Grace. And again, many of you may remember she was on the show over the summer playing her beautiful violin. We're going to get a couple more violin experiences with Bethany, as well as her sharing one of the 6 agreements. Welcome, Bethany.
Thank you, Scott. So honored to be on this show. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely. Larisa, anything you want to add about Bethany?
Bethany Grace is pure magic. She is like a true live fairy in form. And she brings so much love and artistry and vulnerability and compassion. And that's why she has to be on this show.
She plays too, doesn't she?
Yes, and she happens to play violin in Shakti Tribe as well, which I am beyond, grateful for. So grateful.
Mark in the chat box is saying that he saw you play last night, Bethany.
Oh, Mark's on. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, at the Hutchins concert. So
it was pretty special.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it's a magical time. We've got the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year starting tomorrow with the year of the rabbit, the water rabbit. So it's a special time. All right, we always start with music, and Larisa, for the longest time, Saturday Night Live, our theme song was one of Larisa's favorite songs that she played. We did that at the beginning of Saturday Night Live for 90 shows. And Larisa and her beloved Benj, thank you for being with us. What did you start us off with tonight?
I breathe in love, and I invite everyone here to breathe in love as we share this with you. And this is truly about breathing in each other as well, and all the magic that we share. I breathe in love, I breathe in light. I am the earth, the wind, the sun, the sea, the light. I breathe you in so I can grow. I let the magic of your stars come crashing in my soul. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
breathe in love, I breathe in light. I am the earth, the wind, the sun, the sea, the light. I breathe you in so I can grow. I let the magic of your stars come crashing in my soul. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Oh, beautiful. Let's all do a little twinkle. Let's send some twinkle love to Benj and to Larisa for getting us off to such a beautiful start.
I'd like to thank this one here for sitting in tonight because it's so much more fun when we play together. Like I enjoy it so much more when I have my beloveds around me. If I could pull Bethany on the other side over here, it's so much more fun when we're playing together. It just opens my heart. So thank you.
Thank you, Benj. Yeah, I was really excited when I saw Benj. I was like, oh, good. It's going to be a Benj. All right.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, that song, a lot of that was inspired by this one here too. Like just, we had this experience and it was just really apparent to me that I needed just to really breathe in his brilliance and the genius of who he is in this life. And I would say that he was a big inspiration for me in this song.
I knew that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Yep. It's true.
I'm going to cry now.
I'm going to read some of the comments that have already come into the chat box, and I'm glad to see that it's people are getting active because we really want to hear from all of you tonight. Sylvia wrote, "In the spirit of play, howly Yuli wing with you." In other words, combining howling with hallelujah. So
I love that.
Sweet. And Ayada points out that it is the Earth is the closest to the new moon that it's been since the year 1030, almost 1,000 years ago. So it is a powerful, powerful time right now.
Wow.
And since everybody's asking, and there's a lot going on about Bethany's gig tomorrow, usually I would show this later in the show, and I probably will again, but there it is. For those of you in Southern California, head on down to Corona del Mar, Bach and Rock. So Bethany and the Hutchins Consort will be playing tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Oasis Center in Corona del Mar. And I know we do have a lot of Southern California people, which is great because we're going to be doing a retreat in Southern California, but we'll talk about that later. Larisa, share with us a little bit about the video we're about to see.
Well, I am so excited. This is going to be the first night to premiere this in more of a, live stream and globally. As we have shared this video, I shared it, and Scott, you were there in November at like there was a Heaven's Gate conference that we were both a part of, and I showed it there, but that it has changed a little bit since then as well. And so you all are going to get to experience it for the first time tonight together. So I'm excited to do this on the new moon as well. This video it brings so much light to the importance of having agreements together because we have a tendency to become triggered, and when we get triggered, and that's inevitable, especially as we get close to people, as we create deeper relationships in our life, we're going to bring up there you go. It's going to bring up a lot of stuff. It's going to bring up our shadows. It's going to bring up our wounding. And we have a tendency to, rather than really drop into the heart space, we have a tendency to feel like our safety is being compromised and we're not being heard, we're not being seen. And so many relationships end up dissolving because of that. And people, rather than diving in and creating these heart-centered agreements, we tend to like run the other way. And we're seeing this on the planet like in a really big way, in a profoundly big way right now. So much polarization, people having different beliefs, which is, natural for us to believe and see things differently. In fact, that's how we create new paradigms of being and create music together, is when we see things differently, and creating all sorts of art and science. We see things differently, and because of that, we can create even more amazing pieces that we can bring into this world. But unfortunately, recently, we have seen that rather than seeing different perspectives and beliefs as something that's positive, that can create wonderful new ways of being, we have instead collapsed in many ways into deeper polarization and into deeper separation. So these 6 global agreements were created from the understanding that heart-centered awareness takes a commitment. It takes a personal commitment that each one of us, has this opportunity to really work ourselves, dropping in the heart. We have a personal responsibility to do that. And when we work that muscle of heart-centered awareness, it makes all the difference. And these 6 agreements are simple, and yet they're probably not very easy for most of us to do in those moments when we feel most triggered in life by each other. So this is really an opportunity for us to come together and go, okay, even when things get hard, I promise, I commit that I will do my best. And I know I'm not perfect at it, but I will do my best to work these agreements. And if we can say yes to that, then we can get through anything. And not only can we get through anything, but we can create a heart-centered global consciousness. And we can create that new earth that we have been talking about. And we can create what I like to say, rather than heaven on earth, heaven in earth, where we as spirit truly embody, come into our bodies and become the love that we talk about, that we embody that love. So heaven in earth, because we are earth as humans. We are earth, and just like I sang about, we are earth, water, air, fire, all of it. So I invite you, as we are watching this video together, I invite each and every one of you to, as you listen to those 6 agreements, to think about in your life where you are challenged with these, and even better, where you have really anchored into one of these agreements and how it's made a profound, transformational, positive change in your life. Because I think if you were to share that with us tonight, and you will have the opportunity, and I invite you to, because you have so much to share, there's so much love out there, that you will inspire us, that we can learn from one another about how we can do this, and how this impacts us in our personal lives, and then eventually how that impacts our community as a whole when we agree to these 6 easy agreements. So enough said.
It's a beautiful video. I really look forward. I'm so grateful we get to share it and premiere it its official premiere here on the Awakening World, and looking forward to everybody's comments.
Welcome to Earth, our beloved Mama Gaia, our sacred home where collectively we share the gift of life. Life is a true miracle for those who live in heart-centered connection. However, when the mind leads without the compassionate wisdom of the heart, fear is not far behind, and with it comes great suffering. Throughout history, so many have worked tirelessly to bring healing to the world's wounds. But now, as never before, we are being challenged by negative forces. Self-serving agendas, extreme polarity, climate change, and a loss of hope are intensifying, bringing a tsunami of confusion, chaos, and despair in its wake. How many of us here today are feeling an urgent impulse, pressing us to awaken our global heart-centered consciousness before it's too late? How many of us are feeling the growing urgency to heed that call, not only for ourselves, but for all sentient beings and our beloved Earth? She is our home, we are her steward, and we are each other's steward. Throughout history, global challenges and events have served either as a gateway to humanity's growth and transformation, bringing greater peace, love, connection, and oneness, or stirred its global shadow, promoting feelings of separation, polarization, and fear. For so many, overwhelming mental, physical, and emotional events are intensifying experiences of trauma. Life feels hopeless and unmanageable. Did you know that current statistics show over 800,000 people of all ages are choosing suicide? The fullest expression of a loss of faith, hope, trust, and love. And when will humanity grow weary of the needless loss of life through myriad acts of violence? We may appear separate, but we are truly a complex and delicate interconnected organism that thrives when we honor and care for one another. In the biggest picture, what we do to each other in the earth, we do to ourselves. When will we awaken to the greater understanding of our interconnectedness? When will we see the miracle and sanctity of life that is happening within us and all around us? We have witnessed and experienced the massive destruction and devastation that unfolds when the mind leads without the compassionate wisdom of the heart. How might that change if the heart were to lead? Imagine the peace that may prevail, the joy, the depth of connection with ourselves, with each other, and with life that is possible in a world where heart-centered awareness is our guiding force and light. Those of us heeding the evolutionary call to awaken know it begins with holding ourselves accountable to fully living in unity consciousness. And we will do it through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. It means living from the heart and allowing the highest source to lead us, guide us, and direct us. And from there, together, we will usher in the golden age of love. What if every member of humanity holds the key to the greatest antidote for healing ourselves individually and as a collective? What if there's a simple roadmap that opens the pathway for living in direct access to Source, where the heart and mind are inextricably linked, which is the truest formula for living in oneness. The intention of this presentation is just that, to share with you a simple formula, a practice designed to lead humanity out of our global shadow by guiding us inward. And from there, we enter the WEspace. We call them the 6 global agreements. The following 6 global agreements were designed to be a living blueprint for our personal and collective awakening. They are the cornerstone of the WEvolution. Making these a daily practice will help to bind us collectively and anchor in this higher vibration of love. We invite you to sit back, close your eyes, and imagine if every member of humanity committed to saying, to living, and to sharing these very simple words. 6 global agreements designed to awaken us to our highest form of personal responsibility, open-hearted living, and expansion of consciousness. 6 agreements that have the power to pull back the curtain of shadow that challenges every corner of the globe. 6 powerful agreements to bring forth global healing and expansive heart-mind connection, which opens the doorway for humanity to finally live the true meaning of oneness. Agreement number 1. Plug into Source daily. Meditation, mindfulness, breathwork, yoga, mantra, visualization, prayer, peacemaking, and forgiveness work are examples. Forgiving ourselves and each other clears and opens our hearts, deepening our connection to ourselves, to each other, and to spirit. Just as Olympic athletes rigorously train, so too must we strengthen our spiritual muscles, deepening our connection to Source and expanding our energetic capacities. Daily spiritual practice is the practice of love. Agreement number 2. Cultivate courageous vulnerability. Be authentic. Allow people to see your struggles, to see your humanity. Take off your social mask. Dare to be transparent. You allow others to contribute more to you when you do, creating deeper connections and intimacy in your relationships. Agreement number 3. Lead with compassionate curiosity. When you find yourself judging, defending your position, becoming critical or self-righteous, step back and observe. Put in the effort to see through another's eyes. Get curious about how they came to be the personality they are today. What shaped their consciousness and perceptions? What informed their beliefs? What are the needs and values driving their unconscious behaviors and their conscious choices? The more you understand how a person came to be who they are, the more compassion and empathy you can hold for them. Genuinely care about their well-being. Agreement number 4. Practice radical self-acceptance. Compassionately witness your critical thoughts. How can you be more kind to yourself? Even the inner judge needs compassion and kindness. Deeply listen to the inner voices of your wounding. Seek to understand, allow, forgive, heal, and transform. Practice accepting the parts of yourself that feel unlovable. Speak with as much kindness to these parts of self as you would to your beloved or a newborn baby. The more you accept disowned aspects of yourself, the easier it will be for you to have compassion for others. Agreement number 5, respect each other. You don't have to agree with another's beliefs to be thoughtful and considerate in your communication. Refrain from yelling, using words and body language that objectify, generalize, or dehumanize. Use language that creates connection, rather than black, white, right, wrong dialogue. Before you engage in conversation, get clear on your own motivation in the exchange. Are you sharing to affirm how you think or feel and to change someone's opinion? Or are you allowing the space to create deeper understanding and connection? Agreement number 6, play together. Get out there and play. Make music together. Find the humor in life. Dream, build, and create with those who are fun and inspiring. Play fuels the imagination and sparks out-of-the-box thinking and solutions. Play improves relationships. It inspires deeper connection and bonding with others. Play creates rapport as you come into more sympathetic resonance with one another through fun and laughter. It teaches cooperation. Play is one of the highest forms of prayer. Just as the butterfly, by simply flapping its wings in India, creates a ripple in the matrix, so can we, with every thought, word, and deed. The time for a global call for conscious action is here. The moment in our evolution for moving from the I to the we, the time for mutual awakening. There cannot be more evolution without a WEvolution. Together, we have the power to raise the vibration of the planet, to bring healing to ourselves, our ancestral lineage, to all life. We hold the key to permanently opening the gateway, ushering in greater peace, love, connection, and oneness. What would love do? Are we who gather here today committed to global oneness, to being true warriors for love? Are we ready to catalyze the WEvolution and join together in flexing our compassionate muscles daily, consistently, and consciously? Your sacred yes could be the very one that creates the tipping point for bringing the change we all seek in the world. Will you join me in incorporating the 6 global agreements into your life?
Oh. Hey, everybody, I'm going to go to gallery view. Let's do another twinkling. Isn't that just the most beautiful video? Like everyone on this planet needs to see that video. Absolutely. I want you to bask.
say yes to that.
I want you to bask in the glory of some of the comments here, and I'm only going to be able to read a few. Lord Chamberlain, these are beautiful agreements, and I am on board 100%. But sadly, I don't see enough people here in Chicago who are agreeing to them. But I'm praying for all of humanity. Jason Firth wants to meet this Dragon Roll media person. Eleanor Joy writes, excellent. For number one, each person can interpret source in their own way. Carol wrote, I am totally sharing this with my students. I did put the link to the web, to the video in already, but I'll put it in again. Kiki, beautiful. Larisa, thank you so much. Jeffrey, WEvolution is our path of lovevolution. George writes, yes, once we have an opportunity to sing together, Larisa, I don't think any more will need saying. This technology creates distance despite its wonders. This is true. Tarina, all the way down in Ecuador, writes, we versations plus we actions equals WEvolution. I love that. Yes, we are, with love and maximum grace. Fabulous video, maximum grace for sharing this with everyone. Kathy writes, that was beautiful and fantastic, thank you. Mark writes, this video is magical and powerful. It's the musical scaled that we can practice to create global harmony. I'm in. Phil, PHYLL, writes, this is wonderful. Thank you for the YouTube link to the video, Scott. And there are many, many, many more, but thank you everybody for your comments, and there's still more coming in. Okay, a few more. Karen, I led my spiritual group in a study of the 4 agreements 6 years ago, and now I will share the 6 agreements with them tomorrow. A great set of agreements. I like these very much. YouTube gave this message. This video may be inappropriate for some users.
What?
We just put it up.
Yeah, we just put it up today.
And they flagged it for something. We don't know what it is yet.
You know what I bet it is? I bet it's George Floyd. I bet it's George Floyd.
Oh, okay. Okay. It could be George
You have
Floyd.
to be 18 and signed in.
Okay.
Wow. Well, Larisa, how do you feel after your world premiere of your video and all these responses?
I am so happy to have it out there in the world and completed, because it feels so important to have something that we can rally around collectively. I was sharing earlier with Viraja today, it's like, I need to look at these agreements every day. You know, I'm not a master by any means at these agreements, and to have them in front of me so that I can continue to commit to them is so powerful, because it really does help me drop into heart-centered awareness from that mind. You know, it's too easy to get into the mind and get into trying to sway somebody's opinions, right? And to put what I see as the truth out there. And it's such a powerful reminder to me that it's like, okay, am I showing up in curiosity? Am I showing up to create more of a we space, or am I showing up to convince somebody else? You know, there's just all these different pieces that it's like, yes, I recommit every day. So I'm grateful to have this, and I would love to have us show up. I know this will help me with all my beloveds in life. You know, when we work with these 6 agreements together, it's so much easier for us to be in a deeper space of communication, heart-centered communication. And thank you for your comments, everyone. I really look forward to hearing how these agreements, how they land in your life as well.
I'm going to read a few more comments, and then we're going to go through the agreements one at a time. But just a few more comments. Susan writes, I'm in Chicago and see wonderful things happening everywhere amidst the challenges. Looking for the good, it's everywhere. Eleanor Joy writes, it's more about intention rather than perfection. Karen Eisenberg writes, I am committing every day. Thank you, Larisa. And you know, I think both things are true. It's, of course, we can't put a blind eye to the very painful challenges. And obviously there are huge segments of our world that are unconscious and still operating in reptile brain reactive survival thinking. And at the same time, there are amazing, wonderful things going on in the world. And there is an awakening world. And that's what we try and bring to you every week. So we're going to take turns. Each of our presenters is going to read one of these agreements, talk about their personal relationship to that agreement, and then we're going to hear from you. And I really want to hear from all of you, ideally. Those of you who want to come on camera to share, send me a private message saying, hey, Scott, I'd love to come on camera to share my thoughts. And I'll try and put several of you on camera. I know some of our friends like Sherry Anderson, the Wild Abbot, and Alan Steinfeld and Krista Collins are with us. So, but to read the first agreement to get us started, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Larisa.
Okay. And I want to say before I read it, Ben, should you put that in the chat? The link?
I emailed it. I sent it to your message
You
on your phone.
You sent it to my phone.
You
Okay.
need it. Can you get it from your message on your laptop?
Do you need to read it? I've put into the chat box the document, the 6 agreements.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
It's right there. So I'll put it in again.
Okay.
And you just open it up, it'll be right there.
Okay.
There it is. It's at the top of the chat box.
Okay, fantastic. And I see Diane just wrote it in too, because Mystic Wild Abbot was asking specifically about that. So I want to make sure everybody has it.
Yep. Yeah, well, I popped it in 3 times now.
Okay, fantastic. And so agreement number 1 is plug into source daily. Meditation, mindfulness, breath work, yoga, mantra, visualization, prayer, peacemaking, and forgiveness work are examples. Forgiving ourselves and each other clears and opens our hearts, deepening our connection to ourselves, to each other, and to spirit. Just as Olympic athletes train rigorously, so too must we strengthen our spiritual muscles, deepening our connection to Source and expanding our energetic capacities. Daily spiritual practice is the practice of love. And I want to acknowledge that it's true that not everybody, feels a call to connect with spirit necessarily. But I think one thing that we can agree on is a practice of connecting to love. So whatever that looks like for you in your life, that's why we also say like forgiveness work. So you don't even have to, you could be agnostic, you could be atheist, and you could still be connecting to Source, plugging into that love every day. But I would love to hear from all of you. I myself am so committed to this that every single morning I do breath work. Every day I do Wim Hof. Like every day I ride the dragon, which is a moving meditation that connects me to the lover and the beloved within myself. And I drink lots of water. I do forgiveness work with myself and with others. Water is also like it holds Source itself, life on this earth. So all of these practices connect me to Source. And I'm curious with all of you, like what do you do to connect with Source daily? And what makes all the difference in your life?
To make it easy to call on people, you can raise your hand. There's little, if you take a look in your reactions, there's one that says raise hand. And that's also for Viraja, Beth, Sherry, Jason, any of our presenters who want to comment. That would be great. And I want to just acknowledge, I recently was in Sedona with Larisa, her husband Doug, and their daughter, and some friends. And I watched her every morning. There she was in the temple. There's a temple space there on her brand new, beautiful land. And there she was riding the dragon and trying to get all of us to come on in. And she did. She herded us in to do our best. But I saw her just going deep into her connection to source every morning. And it is a beautiful thing to behold, Larisa. So I really want to acknowledge how inspiring that is.
Thank you. That's the way I stay inspired. It's paramount. It's important.
So I'm
I
going
wouldn't want to not do it.
Anybody want to share how they connect to source? Oh my gosh, I can't believe people are being shy. Omashar, I'm going to call on you because I know you connect to source through your music every day. So
I do. However, my morning connecting to the source perhaps is a little more like Larisa, because I have a commitment with myself to do 3 meditations a day, a couple of sound attunements, which is like you choose one of the frequencies like 5 to 8 hertz for your heart or wherever, and I do that, and I make sure I get out and hug a tree, or where I am in Colorado, it's walking in the snow. But it's really it's taken me a long time to turn my personal ship around, because the egoic mind wants to just to be entertained. And sometimes I get up grumpy. I go, oh, I've got all my protocols to do. However, when I've done them, I feel connected and I feel ready for my life. So my meditations are heart meditations. What I'd love to do though is get more into breath practices. And we live here, I think it's about 5,500 feet, and I noticed if I don't do breath practice, I'm not breathing very deeply. So the riding the dragon sounds great. So that's my little 10 cents worth. Actually, it's about $1 million worth. But yeah, and all through the day, rather than picking my phone up all the time, I'll do inner mantras. I am light, I am love, I am connected to the Divine Mother, connected to the Divine Father. Everything that comes out of my mouth is going to be that which is directed by the source of all creation. When I shifted from being a rock band player, musician, to being a divinely sourced sharer of music, whatever, I don't have the words for it. I used to have this mantra, which is fake it until you make it. And I just continued and it built up such a momentum that the only music comes to me now is divinely inspired. So anyway, that's my 11 cents worth.
beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Eleanor Joy has raised her hand. So Eleanor Joy, please unmute, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, mine's very simple, and I'd love to get more explanation on what this dragon is, but later. And between 4 and 5, I do a meditation most days. And I have a couple of mantras, and one of them is, I am loving, I am loving, I am lovable, I am loved, I am beloved, and I am love. So, and also attitudes of gratitudes, which I do in the morning and in the evening.
Beautiful. Thank you. Larisa, you want to say anything about the dragon?
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge Eleanor. That's beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. Riding the dragon is a practice that I was taught inside out years and years ago. Scott, this is a long, this is more of an involved response, but it's a moving meditation. It's sacred spirals. And as I do it, there's 3 different layers that are the heart of riding the dragon. There's more layers than that, but the 3 layers, the first layer is really about connecting as I move in a sacred spiral. It's about being outrageously present to your body like you would to a lover. Like when we show up in life and we're with a beloved, we are so with that person. We're putting all of our love, we're connecting with all that love. It's the same thing when we ride the dragon in layer 1. You are moving into that depth of awareness with yourself, feeling the inside of your own body, your organs, your fascia in your body, where the body has pain, where it has joy. And so you create a deeper relationship in that layer 1 with yourself. So it starts to activate this deeper connection with yourself, like a deeper, more loving, profound connection with yourself. So that's layer one. And we go counterclockwise, which is the signature of the divine feminine. And then we go clockwise, which is a signature of the divine masculine. And then there's layer two. I could get into the pieces, but that's layer one. That's the beginning of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're going to go to Alan Steinfeld in a moment, but I want to read some of the wonderful comments coming in. Sonia is celebrating with Jeffrey his birthday at her home. So just want to say happy birthday, Jeffrey Colebrook. We love you, Jeffrey. Ayada writes, every morning before I eat, I go outside and say prayers and give offerings to all the elemental beings. I've learned so much from the Wecho people. I know how to pronounce that, Wecho people, and the Koji, that these are actual consciousnesses, not simply elemental phenomena. This always leaves me with such a sense of joy, peace, and belonging, and leaves me so grateful to be alive. Dorina in Ecuador writes, and she's responding to some people who've been suggesting the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono, and she writes that is also one of her favorite ones, the Hawaiian Miracle Healing Prayer for peace, forgiveness, health, wealth, and happiness. And it's simple. Most of you know it. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Laura Chamberlain writes, I connect with Source every day by talking to God. I go out on my balcony and have deep conversation with God, asking questions, getting back impressions. Sometimes I complain, but then I find understanding growing in my heart. I simply have a conversation with God every day. Noelle writes, Larisa, I love you. Such a wonderful mentor. Mindfulness is a constant practice. So grateful that now, when triggered, I pause and turn over the thoughts and reactions to divine spirit. So instead of letting a situation cause separation, double down and intentionally seek greater connection to the source. And then finally, Carol writes, I have meditated for 30 years and sometimes do up to 3 sessions a day. I spend time in nature. I join many online webinars such as this, and I'm always learning about wonderful spiritual practices. So thank you, everybody. And one of our dear friends, I saw him here a moment ago, Alan Steinfeld, was with us. Alan, are you still with us?
I'm right here, Scott. I'm right next to you up there.
Well, there you are. Zoom moves people around. So there he is. Hey, buddy.
Hey, great to be with Larisa again. We had an incredible conversation last week, didn't we, Larisa?
Oh, we did. It was so much fun. Loved it.
And you know, as you're talking about the WEvolution, I just spent the weekend with Bruce Lipton at the seminar, and he talks about the synergy of awareness. So when one cell combined with another cell, they shared awareness, but at some point, the two became one. They shared the single awareness. This is the synergy of awareness. So I love the we, but at some point, the we becomes the I, the singularity of consciousness. And of course, that's we're pretty far away from that because we haven't achieved the we yet. But at some point, after we are the we become the one,
Yes.
the singularity.
That's
So
right.
just want to add that a little bit
Yeah.
because I'm always trying to push the envelope. As an Aquarian, you know, we're coming into the Aquarian time.
Oh, absolutely.
And since you happen to mention that, it is Alan's birthday tomorrow.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so Omashar, can you pull up a happy birthday tune?
Well, we can just, we're going to do this this experiment. We're going to unmute and sing you a cacophonous happy birthday out. So are you ready? Okay, okay, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Alan and Jeffrey. Happy birthday to you.
That one I'll
and
remember.
many more.
And
Even with all of that, did you all notice how Bethany's voice came forward? I mean, yours really stood out, my love. I just got to point that out.
Did.
and Scott, can I ask for my birthday present here?
Absolutely. Let me put you back on speaker.
Well-
there you are.
Well, it's a little pushy, but I'm from New York.
You're from New York. You can get away with it, pal. What is the birthday? Put it
Well,
in.
we're all going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, and the Conscious Life Expo is doing a book, People's Choice Book Award, and I want my book to be voted on, Making Contact. You can go to that website on the Jot form. And if you like the book, if you like the ET connection, go to Making Contact. I'm hosting your show next week with you, Scott.
That's right.
So it's all about making the WEvolution is about making contact with the bigger round. So it's a book contest and people vote for their favorite book. If it was your favorite book or if it wasn't, vote anyway. But I love the support. And we are going to be at the expo, right, Michelle? We're part of the expo. We're all going to be there. Maybe not Larisa, but Scott, you'll be there, right?
Yeah. In fact, we'll be doing the Awakening World from the expo. In my room, I'm going to invite people. The Twin Ray are going to come up, and all sorts of half the people at the expo, half the presenters have been on the show. So they're going to come in, and we're going to have the Awakening World from the expo on that Saturday night and Sunday morning. And so I'll be there all weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And it is the best show, the best mind, body, spirit show, I think, in the country. I mean, it's really going to be a huge attendance, lots of exhibits, music, special rooms, healing centers. There's down the rabbit hole for the radical conspiracy people in the basement. They're going to have some sort of cutting edge, I guess, political type conspiracies talks, if you're interested in that. And also UFOs. I'll be speaking with JJ and Desiree Hurtak about the multidimensional reality. Oh, there it is. Rev Jeffries. Yes, that's the book to look for on the Jot forum. Thank you so much. So there's a special book awards. It's probably about, thank you. Yes.
It's the best book out there for anybody. It is simple, got the whole thing from A to Z. Perfect. Thank you for putting this together. I love it.
Right. Thank you. Because it's not my book. It's a book that's a collection of the best minds looking at this phenomena that is knocking at our door. We'll get more into it next week, but we are at a threshold of a bigger awakening. It's no longer just we. Guess what? We have company. So we're going to have to include a bigger circle of we-ness. That's really the weaving of the WEvolution, because, there you are. Wow. I think everyone should have a copy.
Oh, yes. It's the best.
Thank you so much for that support.
You put it all together beautifully. Thank you.
Well, it's so nice. Write a review on Amazon. So
Thank you, Jeffrey.
That is the best birthday present you can give me, because just the support and belief, because I've been studying this for 30 years, not because they're aliens, but because something mysterious and unknown is infiltrating human consciousness. And we have to discover, we don't have to, but our mission, my mission, is to see what's really going on here. What's the government hiding? Who are we really? Making contact is making contact with ourselves. So thank you very much, Scott, for that little promo.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Alan. And Alan will be my co-host next weekend. And we've got some wonderful people coming on. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show again. Alan, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for that incredibly enthusiastic thing. And since Alan mentioned the Conscious Life Expo, it is going to be a wonderful show. They've got amazing presenters. So come to Southern California. It's coming up in a few weeks. I'll be there. Alan will be there. Michelle will be there. A lot of your friends you see on Alan's shows and on my show will be there. So February 10th to the 13th in LA, the Twin Ray will be there. And I know many of you love the Twin Ray. I certainly. All right, let's get back to the WEvolution and the 6 agreements. And Larisa, would you be willing, our next presenter, to read the second agreement is Bethany, and I'd love for you to introduce her.
Bethany Grace, our beloved Bethany Grace. As I think I shared earlier, she's the epitome of courageous vulnerability. When I look at these agreements, I know that her story, if this woman here can continue to stay dropped in heart-centered awareness, all of us can in that courageous vulnerability. So not only is she amazing violinist that inspires all of us with her heart and her magic, but she inspires by her pure beingness. So Bethany Grace, would you read the second agreement and then share why I think you are such an inspiration and hold this frequency for us?
Well, first, I would like to say before I read the second agreement, because I want to touch on the first agreement a little bit. My mission in life has been to shine Divine Mother's love and compassion, and to share that love as all the time. And I find that with your first agreement, if you take it, I've taken it beyond daily, and I try to make it second by second to just connect with myself, and then all the other agreements get taken care of. They're all taken care of. It's awesome. I'm just always putting my eye at the spiritual eye and asking, God to, to us to be the one, like Alan was saying, that the we become the one, and the one became the we. But okay, so I just wanted to say that how interesting it's been, to have, if you have that connection, you have the other agreements. They just come. I think that's why I was able to do what I was able to do with my cultivate courageous vulnerability. It doesn't say this, but then it is be authentic and allow people to see your struggle, to see your humanity. Take off your social mask. Dare to be transparent. You allow others to contribute more to you when you do creating deeper connection. Oh boy, my eyes. Connection in your relationships. Whoa, take off my social mask. Wow, I just put one on today, I feel like, although, a social mask is a lot different than the divine mask. I believe Divine Mother, has a mask and is, puts it on and shines, that mask on for other people to see. I would be transparent. I wasn't transparent this morning because I wouldn't turn on my video to let them see my face. So, whoa, taking off my social mask. Okay, well, dare to be transparent. But I must say what Larisa was talking about was, and you may have, those who were connected last time I was on, I talked about my daughter's death. She was murdered, and it was sort of a torturous type of person that did it. And her name is Dara, and her name means compassionate in Hebrew. And she's the ultimate in compassion. I mean, she was the epitome of compassion, I must say. She never did anything wrong. I mean, I would try to get her to even not do her homework, but she didn't want to, have anybody, be upset. She wanted everybody to love her. She just wanted to please everybody. And she was the one out of my 5 children that was picked to be murdered. And my baby, she was a character. And the person that did it my children were very mad. Oh, my boys were almost murderous. There's a story I could tell about that, but they, it's hard to, not feel the hate with the pain. And since I've dedicated my life, and I have before she died, to shining Divine Mother's love, and since I do it so often, I try to, go within and keep my eye at the spiritual eye, talk to the Mother. And so it's a lot easier to, to cultivate this vulnerability, to, and I was able to forgive. I had to do it immediately. As soon as I found out she was murdered, I had to forgive him immediately. I did know his background, and I knew that his mother had taken him from an abusive father, and they fled to the United States from Iran. And so I instantly knew that he felt pain in love, and he didn't receive the love. He didn't know how to love. He wanted to hold on, in a very harmful way, more than harmful, to that. And I realized that I couldn't get through life with having this hatred or anger or any of it. I just cannot. I couldn't see myself living like that. It was just so immediately I had to switch on the forgiveness and become completely vulnerable to all this, and all these thoughts of my daughter is dead, this person killed her, and did it in a way that was not kind, and it was torturous, and she was tortured basically, in many ways. And knowing this, I had to immediately let go of that, because it would have eaten me up alive. I could tell. And luckily, I was able, with Divine Mother's help and with my connection to Source daily, and even second by second, there's been a lot of times where I've had very, intimate connections with God, and I know that connection is the answer, and that's where I went. That's where I fled to, and that saved me. And also, as you'll notice when I play, I am definitely vulnerable, because I completely become authentic. I totally go into my spiritual eye, and Divine Mother plays for all of you. And I know Scott has something to play for you. And I thank all of you for being here. And I just hope that you look at these agreements and they incorporate them into your life. And I know that it will make a big difference in the world. And thank you for making that difference in the world. We all need to come together and do that. God bless you all. Love you all.
God bless you. Let's just send some love and appreciation to Bethany. And she didn't really share, but she mentioned it, but she's going through some physical challenges, and still going out there and playing last night, playing again tomorrow, being on our show today. So, thank you for your courageous vulnerability in choosing forgiveness of your daughter's murderer, choosing to carry on with your life in such a vibrant way, as opposed to just contracting and going into a victim space. Thank you for opening to receive the love that Larisa and the Shakti Love Warrior tribe and all your friends have for you. You are loved and adored, my friend.
We love you so much, Bethany Grace. Thank you for being for modeling what it means and what it looks like to be somebody who could forgive at such a deep level. I can't even imagine. And I know that so many people here are speaking the same thing. It's unimaginable, to go through what you have. It's incredible. And for you to keep your heart open like that and to stay courageously vulnerable. If you can do it, sweetie, I feel like, if you can do it, then we all should be able to do it, like for all these situations that come up in our life, because what you went through is like the hardest thing that anybody could ever, I think, pretty much go through, is to lose a child like that.
Thank you for modeling agreement number 2 so beautifully. Bethany connected with me this morning and she said, Scott, can you play one of my videos instead of me playing live? And I said, sure. She sent me this wonderful reel of all these wonderful videos. And I'm going to start playing them throughout different Awakening World shows because they're all wonderful. Is there anything you want to say about the Ave Maria video that I've chosen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that was, whenever I play that, I mean, that's my mother piece, and that's my mother. She's my hero. She's my everything. And I'm able to play to the mother. I mean, and I go deep into the mother, and I'm so blessed to be able to bring forth, to be able to bring forth that through this. I just love doing it.
All right, well, here we go. We're going to play Ave Maria with this beautiful violin. And I just invite everybody, most of us know this song, but I invite you to just really drop into the spirit of courageous vulnerability that Bethany provides to Ave Maria. I'm going to go to gallery view, just sending Zal, sending love and appreciation for the gift of her being and the gift of her music. And Bethany, I hope you'll get a chance to read some of the comments coming in. There's so many comments coming in from our audience right now. People loving you, appreciating you.
I must say, I also need to give credit to my guru and my path, Paramahansa Yogananda.
Getting chills as I think about our beloved Yoganandaji. Absolutely. You know, there's so many comments coming in, but Ayada wrote, a healer once told me that Ave Maria is a direct musical channeling from Mother Mary and Divine Mother. And like when you mentioned other chills, I mean, do you want to comment on that?
It was so, even now, it's just so, Divine Mother is just as able to sing through it. It's just a perfect song for Divine Mother to use to, I don't know whether it's, yay.
Well, a reminder that everybody, you can learn much more about Bethany and support her by going to her website. And her, you know, I show websites every week, but I think her website name is the most perfect website URL for the being, for the person that I've ever seen, because her website is joyfulviolinist.com, joyfulviolinist.com. So that's where you can go and get her music. You can make a donation. You know, I really want to encourage all of us to support Bethany. And again, a reminder that she'll be playing tomorrow for those of you in Southern California at 3 o'clock. And I'll pull
Corona Del Mar, and I would love to extend a free ticket for anybody that's able to do it. So if, it's Corona Del Mar, and which is in Orange County, if anybody doesn't know. And it's at 3 o'clock. And I would love for you to be my guest. It's going to be so much fun. Oh, it's so much fun. The musicians, I know you didn't get a chance to read my biography, but the musicians I've been able to play with are awesome. And you're gonna love it. So I hope you can make it.
I did put your bio into the
Oh,
chat.
you did? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bethany. Now, in the spirit of this, now that we're fully inspired, again, would love to hear from some of you. How does this second agreement about courageous vulnerability as modeled by Bethany, how does that show up for some of you? Who would like to, if somebody would like to share, I'll read comments, but if you want to share on camera, just please raise your hand. That's an easy way for me to find you, like Alan and Eleanor did for agreement number 1. And I'll read a couple comments while I wait. Well, Mark Janisovsky says, it's a great show. He saw it last night. Sylvia writes, as a teenager, the company, my mom, who played the violin, and my grandmother of the heart, who played cello with me on the piano in this version of Ave Maria. And there's a YouTube link, so we'll have to play that sometime, Sylvia. Thank you. Ayada writes, Beth, that was so deep and rich. Thank you for this gift. I can never listen to Ave Maria without my eyes filling with tears. And truthfully, it often makes me feel like weeping, just feeling the nurturing presence of Divine Mother. And everybody is saying, yeah, Bethany is a hard act to follow. But don't be shy. I would love to hear from some of you about courageous vulnerability.
Me too. I would love to hear, like, maybe a time in your life when you felt like it would be, might lose like people seeing you in a certain way that you're used to being seen, but through stepping forward with that courageous vulnerability, how like it opened up something beautiful, like magical in your life. We want to hear from the we.
We want to hear from all of you.
We want to hear from you. I know you have like some medicine to share with all of us.
So raise your hand. You know, I want to say about courageous vulnerability. As you know, my day job is as a relationship coach. And the miracle happens when that couple or those friends go from judgment to remembering the love. And the emotional pain is always in direct proportion to the love that they're missing. That's my job as a coach, to tell people, remember that love. And when people go from this to, I miss you, or I feel scared that I'm losing you, or I miss our connection, when they go into that courageous vulnerability, that's when the miracle happens. Then that's when the field of energy shifts from this, you know, reptile brain attack and defend place into, oh my God, I love you and I miss you and I want to just be with you again. And it's courageous vulnerability that takes us to that place.
It's not easy, but it's so powerful. It shifts our relationships. And I know for myself, just even being in front of a camera a lot, you know, throughout the pandemic, I've been definitely in front of the camera a lot. And there was a time when I committed to being in front of that camera for like 90 days straight. And some of those days I didn't feel like very confident, you know, and I had things going on where I didn't feel as strong. And showing up and giving myself permission just to be real and be open and vulnerable with everyone was so transformative for me, because I realized that I don't have to lead with this idea of strength, that it's actually strong. There's even more strength that comes from having the courage to let people see exactly where I am in life. And I feel like I received myself, like with being so much more authentic. I felt like I was able to receive me and feel so much more like loving and compassionate towards myself. So that's my share.
And we now have several people who've raised their hands. So we'll start
Yay,
with Noel, and then we'll hear from Mark and Dia, Marem, Janet, and Sylvia.
Wow, thank you. Noel.
I am recuperating. I have been in rest almost all day, and I am in a sense of awe and gratitude. When you work in the corporate world, you work with a variety of different people with a variety of different beliefs, but it's amazing to me how we all come together for a common cause. And this past week, we had a network meltdown. I work on the network, and we had a network meltdown, and we had a 72-hour marathon of trying to bring the network back up. And it was definitely beyond me, but I was, for whatever reason, leading the cause. And I reached out. I mean, this was bigger than me. And I shared my vulnerability. And it was such a beautiful coming together from all sorts of different groups and parts. And it required all of the people that were involved. And there was probably 15 or more people that were involved that had their different part that they had to play. But part of this was because I was willing to reach out and I was willing to be vulnerable. And because of this, it created a coming together, and it created a WEspace that then also created that oneness. And we brought the network back up in a rather timely fashion.
I love that example from like very, very much the real world, or the not so real world, depending on one's point of view. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for keeping it short. Let's try and everybody keep it just a couple minutes, because now we've got 6 more people to hear from. So that's awesome. I'm going to go to Sylvia and Nitya next, and then to Mark.
Many of you have seen me share Little Sis, the teddy bear. And some of you have heard me talk about that she represents the traumatized inner newborn. And so courageous vulnerability for me is having gotten to the point of acknowledging that that traumatized inner newborn doesn't respond to words. She responds to loving touch, and little sis is a way that I can provide her with the loving touch that she needs. And talking about it is also part of the courageous inner vulnerability that I offer to all of you. So, little sis and I thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Sylvia. Mark, you're up, partner.
Well, you were asking for a volunteer. I was a musical director in at a Unitarian church in Coronado, California. Coronado, right by the ocean in San Diego, and my father died when I was a kid in 1974, and this was like 1998, and I realized it was June 13th, which was my father's birthday, and I realized that really no one had eulogized him, and so it was a long time coming, and it popped into my head, and I started to talk, and I had this torrent of emotion that obviously was just built up my entire life, you know, and it was, when he died, it was before psychology. You know, if you were 12 years old watching somebody die in the 70s, they'd say, go in a room by yourself and figure it out, right? So that was kind of my background, and you just go through life, you know, as if you're a kid, but boy, it gushed up, you know, and it was very intense. My father was in World War II. He escaped from the Nazis and lived in the woods for 3 years, and I didn't find out about this until 20 years after he died. One of his friends that I talked to said, I just want you to know that this happened. So there was a lot of information contained there, and plus Hungarians have a tendency to be very stoic. Maybe Bethany will comprehend what I'm saying, especially a male Hungarian. You never say you love anybody in your family. That, you know, you just didn't. I never heard it. Yeah, well, except for mom, you know, because that's the way moms are. But so I eulogized my father after 25 years, and it's still intense. Just talking about it right now, it's very intense, but he lived an incredible life, and when he died, there was a high mass. They had 3 priests. That's a big deal for a steel worker, you know? And so I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you, Mark. God bless you. Thank you so much. Let's go to Janet next. Hi, Janet.
Okay, hi. Oh, wait.
Yep, yeah, you're unmuted. We hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to share, I'm a psychotherapist, and it just relatively recently, first of all, I love the term compassion, courageous, what is the term?
Courageous vulnerability.
Courageous vulnerability. I just love that term, so I just want to say that. I'm a psychotherapist, and I have suffered on and off early in my life and throughout a lot of my life with depression, and I made 2 suicide attempts, but I would never share that, for God forbid, with a client. And with certain people that I'm working with lately, it feels very appropriate to share that, and I have, and it's really been extremely helpful to them to hear my vulnerability. So I just wanted to share that it's taken me a long time, and to be courageous to be able to do that.
Oh, Janet, it's so lovely to see you because I know I see you on the show so frequently. And thank you for being with us. It's beautiful to hear from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And that's a big share. That's a big share.
It's huge. I just want to acknowledge, what she's saying is, as you've shared with your clients, it's created a space for them to open up, is what I'm hearing. It's like creating deeper connection, that vulnerability. Yes.
Hmm.
And thank you. Thank you. That's a really great example for us all.
We'll hear from two more people, Dia and Marem, and I'm going to Marem right now. You're on camera.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if I was still muted. Thank you so much, all of you. So this courageous vulnerability for me a while ago was first being vulnerable with myself about how much I struggled. I have a brain that's wired differently, and I didn't know that. And so like covering it up, trying to be like, okay, I'm the professional, not showing my struggle, just doing it like in private. And then when I was diagnosed with ADHD, like telling like my mom, but people, and then like, okay, I don't really believe you. You're so accomplished. And that's where they don't see the struggle. And then being willing to share the struggle that I have so that people would believe me. And it was so hard because they're not used to that and they don't want to see you that way. And then it's also like building my skills. So that's what I do now is I help others, but it's still at times very challenging to come to terms with all of that.
God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marem. It's really a delight to be hearing from so many of the people that are regulars on the show and to hear you, see you, and learn more about you. Thank you so much. And Dia, you'll be our last person commenting on agreement number 2, and I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, these are pajama tops. Never had. Yes. And we all know what that means. I love it when you say that you're sitting there in your pajama bottoms. Okay, I have described before my 12 to 18-hour head situation, but today has been an all-dayer and an all-eveninger. And I literally, all the swelling and pulling out the hair off the scalp, and it goes on interminably. And this happens for a day or two, about twice a week. Now, the days that is not in residence, I am the light for other people, and which I thoroughly enjoy. So I wrote earlier in the comment, and I'm going to be real brief, about the fine line between vulnerability and the victim triangle, which we're all, I would guess all, most of us our awareness is we're working out of that level of existence. But when I express my situation, I want to put it in the truly heartfelt heart experience, and yet not get into the poor me. And I do need a rescuer often. So I just want to express that. Thank you for bringing this topic up, and oh, this is so beautiful to be a part of. And I'm going to cut it there.
Oh, thank you so much, Dia. It's always a joy to hear from you and to see you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Larisa, before we go to agreement number 3, anything you want to add, or anything about these sharings that have especially touched your heart? I know my heart, and I'm seeing the comments. So many people in the chat box are commenting. So it's really beautiful how our community is coming together in this way.
This is exactly what I was hoping, is that we would feel as a collective like we could begin to share, so that there is more of a safe space, for us to be able to come forward more authentically, taking off that social mask and coming forth, so we can see how much more alike we are in so many ways than different. We may have different beliefs and different values, but there's so much of who we are that we can connect with and relate to and open ourselves to one another. So thank you so much for sharing, everyone. Really appreciate it. I think all of us are feeling it right now, how important it is to do this together.
Well, I have the honor of reading the third agreement. And so I'm going to do that right now. And this one is leading with compassionate curiosity. When you find yourself judging, defending your position, becoming critical or self-righteous, step back and observe. Put in the effort to see through another's eyes. Get curious about how they came to be the person or the personality that they are today. What shaped their consciousness and perceptions? What informed their beliefs? What are the needs and values driving their unconscious behaviors and their conscious choices? The more you understand how a person came to be who they are, the more compassion and empathy you can hold for them. Genuinely care about their well-being. I wanted to read this one, Larisa, for several reasons, but there are two that I'll share, and then I would love to hear from some people. I had the honor to teach compassionate communication in the prison system. And when I was first in there, I was scared and had a lot of judgments because I was with a lot of scary looking people who were very different from the people from my little global peace tribe, right? And it was such a gift for me because as I got talking to them and teaching compassionate communication, I got to see the divinity in every single one of them. And it helped me to learn that my problem was never with who they were as a being, but with maybe some of the choices they made, some of the behaviors that they had. And I've been able to carry that into my coaching work. And again, just a reminder to everybody, everyone is divinity embodied in a human form. And we do have very real problems with certain human beings. But it's not who they are as a being. It's with choices they make. It's behaviors that they have. Or even when we're unhappy with ourselves, don't neglect the beautiful divinity that you are, or that the person you have a problem with. See the divinity and just acknowledge it's a choice they've made, a behavior that they have that's uncomfortable, or sometimes has very hurtful consequences. And again, when we can be curious and really seek to understand. And I'll close my thought with a beautiful quote from Marshall Rosenberg, my primary mentor and teacher. This is from Marshall. Even the most horrific crimes are tragic attempts to get precious needs met. Even the most horrific crimes are tragic attempts to get precious needs met. I see Laura writing this agreement as a hard one because of how quick the judgment and defensiveness will rise in my being around certain subjects. Thank you for owning that, Laura. It's true, there are certain things that we just all get so triggered around and so triggered by. And, it's really important for us to know what our vulnerabilities are, what are our trigger points, what are our veils of past pain that get in the way of us seeing things clearly. Larisa, anything you want to add? And then I'll see if we got some hands raised.
I think you're the perfect person to speak on this because of the work that you do in the world. And I know that I was taught, with my clients, and it's not always easy, to be in the seat of curiosity. We even want to fix people. We think we know like what we can do to make it better right away. But that curiosity, having that curiosity, it actually validates the other as well. Like it opens up this this beautiful space for people to be received, to receive themselves when we are curious, because it truly opens up our ability to understand what we may not have understood before. So yeah, thank you. I would love to hear from others too, how.
So I'm looking, I don't see any hands raised. Would any of our presenters, Viraja or Wild, Albert Mystic, Monastery, Jerry, I had a feeling you'd have something to say about this. Welcome, Jerry. Welcome back from your trip to Ecuador.
Yes, it was an amazing experience. I didn't even want to leave the property because so much cool things was going on there on the property. The one thing I would say is that two things. One is that we have to, as you were just saying, Scott, it's not the person, it's the action. And sometimes we have to keep the actor and the actions as separate kind of judgments or whatever kind of observation you want to make. And the other one was, oh gosh, just flew out of my head. Oh, a red flag word in our language is the word TOO. As soon as we hit that word, it's a red flag because there's a judgment coming after it.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Jerry. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share on this one? Where it's maybe challenging for you? Eleanor Joy writes, I think this is a very important one for me and us to embrace. When a person tries to tell me what's right or wrong, I feel shut down and annoyed. When they ask me a curious, loving question, I feel heard and appreciated, and then I'm willing to open up. iPhone writes, I've worked with women prisoners. They were not that different than me, except that they had very difficult pasts, made bad choices with grave consequences and behaviors. Many didn't have the coping skills or support to see or know another path. But they now teach me so much about how to be courageous in difficult and abusive situations. Thank you for sharing that. Susan writes, Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. And she adds, I loved the movie The Shack.
I see that Krista has her hand up.
Oh, good. She does. Hi, Krista, one of our regular co-hosts. Welcome back to the Awakening World, Krista.
So great to be here with everyone. And Larisa, you know, I'm just such a fan of the WEvolution, and I just really wanted to be here to support you and Scott just getting this incredible movement out to the world. So thank you for your work and your dedication. What's coming up for me around this is, you know, one of the credentials or the things that I've taken a deep dive into is epigenetics, and I'm an epigenetic health coach. And, you know, we know that 99.999% of our DNA is the same as a human species, right? There's that 0.1% or that very small amount that creates that difference. So I think when we can remember how alike we really are and stop creating the differences and just drop into, this is my sister, this is my brother. We are, you know, knit the same. We are so much alike. And, you know, I think as I've really stepped into my work as a spiritual teacher and leader over the last 2 years, you know, I'm seeing how even within the spiritual community, you know, there can be, you know, a lot of ego, or there can be things that come up that show us opportunities to even have more compassion. And I think that we as a community need to really own when things come up for us, or when we're seeing differences, or we're, you know, and I've also just witnessed, this, you know, fight or flight in my own system. When something comes up that's hard with a sister or a friend, whether it's, you know, personal or whether it's business, you know, a lot of times we want to say, well, I'm just not aligned with this person and I'm out and I'm going to go a different route. But I know that the higher road, and I think the message here is that we're here for it all. And if something is being reflected back to me, there's something in me that I still need to heal. And we need to remember that as those who are leading this movement, to be that example and to show ourselves compassion and to show ourselves that we need to also look deeper within so that we can be in more harmony with each other. And I think the more that we can embrace that as a spiritual community, the more we can be that example to others as they also rise. So thank you for the opportunity to share here, Scott and Larisa.
Oh, thank you so much, Krista. It's great to have you with us again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Krista. And to let everybody know, it was at your conference, you and
Right.
Nicole's conference, yeah, of Heaven's Gate, that I was able to first show the 6 global agreements. So thank you for being here tonight too, sweetheart.
Yeah, that was just such an incredible moment in time. And the way that you held everyone on stage that day to just feel part of the family. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista. We love you.
I would love you too.
I'm going to read 2 comments, and I'm going to go to Viraja for the 4th agreement. There's a comment from Sylvie, and I'm really appreciating you writing it down, Sylvia. She says, I have a hard time with this one, with people in power who defend themselves and their power over in ways that perpetuate and increase the violation of the land and the beings that live here. I think we all can relate to that. And again, seeing the divinity in another doesn't mean we condone or accept choices that they make or behaviors that they have, which have hurtful consequences. We differentiate between the divinity that's deep down in there and the choice they're making. And that leads to the story that Darina just wrote, which is a perfect example of this, a perfect example. She writes, one of my favorite experiences of actually applying compassionate curiosity is when, after inquiring why a Nigerian hacker was doing all these online scams, and I had an honest conversation, I suggested, why doesn't he use his skills for hacking for legal exchanges? He took this to heart and totally transformed, dropping the hacking and becoming an actual real tech entrepreneur instead. We became and we remain virtual friends. So there's a beautiful story where, instead of just making him wrong, she acknowledged his skill, acknowledged his talent, and in a ninja move, in a beautiful Aikido move, redirected the energy into something positive. It's a wonderful story.
I love the story. I'd like to add onto that. It's like when we do just put somebody in the position of, how horrible they are, how could they do this? Like we even go to the extreme of thinking of people as monsters and us versus them. It tends to hold somebody in that place. We don't realize how powerful we are and the spells that we create with our thoughts. When we think those kind of thoughts about somebody else, we hold them like in a box, so to speak, in a little box where it's harder for them to have the opportunity to actually become their true authentic self. That moment we start to become curious to see where this is coming from, how they became who they are, and becoming curious to see if possibly there is a way for them and for us to experience their authentic self. It puts that in the space. They begin to see that possibility. We seed that possibility with them. So hearing about this story from you, Darina, is amazing, because what I'm hearing is that you could see his authentic self. You were feeling into it, like, why not? Like, why wouldn't you? When you have all these amazing skills, you're looking at his highest, and and feeling him, and that part of him, he was called to feel that within himself, and you actually helped him in being able to bring out his authentic self. And it's like the best example ever that you gave, and one that we can all take to heart. How many people in our lives do we put in a box and we think, oh, they're horrible, like how could they be this way? And we begin to objectify them in that. And what if we could see them in their highest and call them and help to seed that by calling them into their highest, giving them an opportunity to step into this greater sense of who they are. Thank you.
I'm going to read 2 more comments, then we're going to go to Viraja. Carol writes, that's how I deal with my high school students. I don't judge or assume. I treat them with respect and find something positive to bring up while correcting a situation. And Reverend Jeffrey writes, no fear, do our job of WEvolution and the universe will take care of the rest. Absolutely. All right, we are going to move on to the fourth agreement. And Viraja, thank you for your patience and being with us for these last 2 hours. And love to ask you if there's anything you want to share before you go into the fourth agreement. Anything that stands out for you so far tonight?
Hi, everybody. Lovely to be here. I think the piece that was coming to mind in the last share is the parenting experience and being able to hold that place of compassionate curiosity. And that has been tricky for me at times. And it's always so rewarding and so interesting if I can pause my projection or my judgment of what I think should be happening or the way they should be doing it and inquire like, well, why did you do it that way? Or what were you thinking? Or what insight are you getting around this? And it's been a delight to apply that to parenting. If anyone could relate to that out there, discovering our children's path, right? Yeah. And marveling in that path and delighting in that path that is theirs uniquely. Yeah. So I can go into the next one. Agreement number 4. Practice radical self-acceptance. Compassionately witness your critical thoughts. How can you be even more kind to yourself? Even the inner judge needs compassion and kindness. Deeply listen to the inner voices of your wounding. Seek to understand, allow, heal, and transform. Practice accepting the parts of yourself that feel unlovable. Speak with as much kindness to the parts of you as you would to your beloved or a newborn baby. The more you accept disowned aspects of yourself, the easier it will be for you to have compassion for others. Everyone take a breath. Yeah. The discovery, however long ago, of like the rejection of another is in direct proportion to the rejection of that aspect of me or my lack of knowing it or understanding it or having like the earlier agreements, like the compassionate curiosity or the ability to even know what it is. So often like we can just automatically reject, automatically like not accept something. And that sometimes comes in louder and louder and louder, those messages that are trying to get through to our consciousness, like bring light to something. So I've had experiences where I'm like, oh, like a really, really extreme example is, now it's quite a while ago, but in my 20s, I had almost consecutively 5 relationships that when I transitioned out of those relationships, when I broke up with the men in those relationships, 5 of them threatened to commit suicide. And I was like, holy, what? And it was like the last one was even more dramatic. Thank God nobody did anything. Nobody hurt themselves. But the last one was very dramatic, very, very dramatic. And I was like, okay, this message is getting louder and louder, and I'm the common denominator. And so I was one of the things that happened that really kind of opened the door for me to dive even more fully and completely and committedly into my own self-discovery path and my own personal growth path and do shadow work, to be honest. And it was a journey where I got in contact specifically related to that, like a part of me that felt so scared that I would needed to be needed. Like I kept picking scenarios where I needed to be needed and needed to be needed. So like imbalanced though, that it was like more codependent. And I didn't know how much I was scared. I didn't know how much there was this part of me that felt so unlovable that I had to create these what I thought was the optimal experience, like dynamics, so that I wouldn't be hurt or left or wounded in some way, because there was a part of me that felt very, very insecure. And I hadn't known that part personally. I was trying to find it, because I think we create the scenarios in our life for our own awakening and evolution. And it's like, oh, like those were the scenarios that helped me find that part of myself and accept that part of myself. And it's correlated to my attachment wounds that I have moved through a lot of, which was a lot of anxiousness. And that anxious attachment style is linked to a lot of like, am I lovable? Are they really going to love me? Are they really going to be there when I need them? So as I've healed and been able to connect to that part of me and be like, oh, like, I see you. I got you, and reassure myself, or able to articulate what my needs are to those around me, and proactively be an advocate for my relaxing, my feeling more home, my feeling more relaxed and loved and accepted from the inside, and also relationally, because both of those are so very important. But coming to terms with like, it's okay. It's okay for me to be scared. It's okay for me to need something from others and not shut that down and then just paradoxically be with people that are overly needy because I'm disowning my own needs. It's like how to come into balance with that within myself has been a big part of my journey. And yeah, so that wounding and that needs journey, I'm like still so delighted about compassionate communication when I learned it in like 2000 and got the lists of the needs and the values, or the feelings and the needs, and realized, oh, everybody has these. Like, not only do these people that I could see in everyone else having these, but that I had them too, and bring that to my own awareness. This radical self-acceptance, I think, all of these personal practices can include learning a vocabulary. So it's like learning our own, the general vocabulary, and then learning like, okay, what resonates the most for me? Like, what are my personal needs and values and wants and desires and longings, and living with that, getting to know it, like the beloved, like my own child, like this sacred relationship within myself, and then choosing, okay, how can I move forward honoring that, and how can I live from that place, and then creating the communities around that are able to support that and honor that and see me for who I am. The journey for me about self-acceptance has been like, can I truly be me in this world, and know I'll be safe and I won't be killed, as a prior imprints have kind of informed me, and I think many of us, that it like, we better be careful. But it's the more that I have engaged in my own personal practice of this love and acceptance and getting the support that I trust, the more I have been able to integrate and be living more authentically. Who relates? Who wants to share?
Well, I'll read a few comments and then would love to hear from people. And thank you, Viraja, for sharing. And just to remind everybody, I did put in the chat box that Viraja and I are doing a live event together in her beautiful new home with her beloved Billy. We're doing teaching. We're going to have a relationship satsang, and there's going to be music and all sorts of wonderful things. All the details are in the chat box, and that's going to be on Sunday, February the 5th. So that's 2 weeks from tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That was beautiful. I want to acknowledge Viraja before we read the comments. It's like, I've known this woman for I over 10 years. I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, like 20. I don't know. It's been a long time, right? And I have seen you go deeper and deeper into your radical self-acceptance and self-love. I've just seen you continue to bloom and blossom as you have been so committed to this path of loving yourself. Like, I've just seen you become stronger and more vibrant and more empowered over time with that practice of. So when she speaks this, I can vouch, because I've seen you just completely continue to what I like to call in bloom.
In bloom, in blooming. Thank you. Thank you very much. And part of what's the relevant piece to name is safety in ourselves doing that, and safety in community doing that. And I was, Larisa and I often have many parallels that we when we catch up, we're like, oh my gosh, you're doing that and I'm doing that. And as she's helping voice the agreements, I was like at the same, well, also seeing these essentials to creating safety and beyond consent, even like creating what I'm calling sacred safety, where we are really attuning to each other, where we're noticing and what we're doing with our energy, our thoughts, our heart, our bodies, and what it is that is actually supportive of deepening the safety, softening the nervous system, creating more connection and collaboration. So I've actually created a guideline that helps go through the steps for creating sacred safety. And if you want that for free, you can go to receivemorelove.com and download the PDF.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
All right, well, let's read a few comments and then see if anybody wants to chat. Krista wrote, sisters supporting sisters. So beautiful. Over 10 years. Wow. And I really appreciate what Jennifer wrote, and I think many people can relate. She wrote, this agreement will be the most difficult one for me, but these open conversations help. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And just a reminder to Jennifer and those who are challenged, notice it's not just self-acceptance, but radical self-acceptance. And remember the meaning of life. We're here to learn to love, starting with ourselves. That's what all the people who have the near-death experiences, which I've done shows on, they come back and that's what they report. We're here to learn to love, and we have to learn to love ourselves. Radical self-acceptance. That is the meaning of life.
I had a near-death experience.
Tell us about it, Viraja.
And I love that you just mentioned that, because it was
the horse.
Yeah. I fell off a galloping horse, everybody, and hit my head, and it was a whole series of very strong traumatic brain injury. And the piece that feels really relevant, it's this. I basically went into the dark hole after I came back for a series of weeks, and I was in the pit of the suffering, I'll call it. Like, the contrast was just so apparent, undeniable. It was like, it makes sense to me why we come into little babies' forms that don't have all this awareness of consciousness to mind yet. It's because it's so much to try and comprehend. And as what got me through that, like the little seedling underneath the dark soil and all the pressure and all that stuff, what got the little sprout to sprout in my awareness and my zest for life again was this realization of like, oh my gosh, we're all here. This goes with the WEvolution. Like, we're all here. We all chose to incarnate here into the same soup. Like, we knew what the world we were doing, and we're all doing it. And it's so much. It's so much. It's just so much. And we're all doing it. And it was like, oh, there must be a really good reason. We would not be here with some of these dynamics unless there was a really, really good reason. That's the way my reasoner had been attracted anyways. Like, oh my gosh, how exciting. Like, there's a really good reason that I'm here, and we're all here. And then fast forward to just even a few weeks ago, it's like, oh, like, I have my part in all of it. And then radical self-acceptance is also including, for me, a lot of parts work. So it's like internal, like finding my inner child, or my judger, or my priestess, or the wounded one, or the victim, like working with all these parts and integrating them within the greater field of consciousness and awareness that can love and accept them all and receive them back. So there's those parts, but in the greater thing, like I have my part to play on this work, in this world and on this planet. Like that's my part. That's all I needed to do is my part. And I've come here to do that part. I mean, it sounds so simple. It was like living this like, oh, so all you need to do is celebrate and shine and be your radiant, unique self. And here we are. It's like all of the other stuff can just kind of like be water off the back, like in essence. But it like to celebrate that, to just really lean in and be that and just trust that and like keep doing that, keep being that, just like, feels so relieving and was such a confirmation. And with that, it's like my work in the world is to help other people do that for themselves, help people trust and know that they have their part, that they are here to be fully in this human form, their essence, their unique way, and nothing else. And that's enough. Exactly like that.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like, yes, that's it. All you have to do is your part. Just be you. Every other person is already taken. Just be yourself.
You know, I also want to shout out, Viraja is a great coach. I've had the pleasure to work with her, teach with her for well over 10 years now. And so again, if you are relating to her, she is a wonderful, wonderful awakened love cohort. I love that.
And go to just to receiveMoreLove.com, just straight up without the other thing on the end. Just try just to receiveMoreLove.com. It should.
That's where you are. We're at receiveMoreLove.com.
Okay.
Yeah, is that the correct one?
ReceiveMoreLove.com is, yeah, it might come up with something else on somebody else's thing. But yes, it's a great way to get me. It talks about my coaching work. I do a lot of deep dive immersions with women and men to really work through reprogramming and liberating and clearing. So we repair and heal the past, we reclaim the energy and your essence, and then get to remember and rejoice in the fullness of who you are.
Beautiful. I'll read a couple more comments and then we've got Omashar music coming up. So thank you, everybody. I know tonight's show is going to probably go till about 9 o'clock because it's so much, but we're loving everybody's comments. Our beloved Bethany writes, we have to have radical self-acceptance to acknowledge our divinity. It's almost blasphemous to not accept ourselves. Karen writes, part of my early morning spiritual practice includes tapping on and loving and accepting myself. And Dorina writes, radical self-acceptance is indeed probably the hardest practice, as it needs to start with radical honesty, deepen with courageous inquiry, and then embody true self-acceptance, compassion, and love, especially for the unlovable or perceived unlovable parts of ourselves that always need it the most.
I wanted to just say part of my journey that was very confronting is working with shame. So just want to speak to and normalize like having shame or around some of the things we might have judgment around, or we were perceived, whether we were loved or not, and that like going to some trusted source and receiving empathy externally, relationally, to help move that shame could be very, very supportive. Even looking yourself in the mirror, but having a trusted source, it could be really, really beautiful. And then a distinction that I learned around shame from some mentors of mine, River and Diamond Jameson, is where I first really got to work with this, is the distinction between like healthy shame and toxic shame. So the distinction would be like healthy shame is like, oh my God, I did that. I really like, I flipped that person off. I really wish I didn't. Like that was really rude. It's like that thing. And that like toxic shame is like, oh, like the message we get is like, there's something wrong with me. Like my butt's too big. There's something wrong with me. Like that person, like pointed out my butt or whatever, like there's something wrong with who I am, essentially who I am as a being, that there's something wrong with that, which is not true. That's like a untruth, like a spiritual, psychological, like not truth. Like there's nothing wrong with who we each are as, an essential being of who we are. There's nothing wrong with that. So the antidote to that, which is powerful to bring in, is even just like declaring like that's not true. Like that is not true. Like looking at and feeling it and looking it even in the eyes, that belief or that message, and like putting it over there by saying, no, that is not true. And allowing the energy to move as it does naturally with that conversation happening inside. And it might even be between a couple parts, our internal parts that are having this conversation, but like moving through and letting it progress instead of just like cement inside of our being can help liberate the shame, can help liberate the toxicity that we've adopted somewhere along the way that isn't serving us being our authentic selves.
That is so important what you just shared, Viraja. Thank you so much. And I did get, I refreshed. So here is the new, improved Receive More Love website, empowering women to lead with love. And again, Viraja is a brilliant intimacy intuitive coach. She was chosen in the top 3 love coaches by Yahoo. And she is truly an amazing love coach.
And if you go down just a little bit, I added the free offering right down there. You can get your sacred safety guideline.
Beautiful. Guideline for really learning about consent. And thank you for that. And I'm really looking forward to being with you in person and us having a beautiful relationship satsang group live in Encinitas in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Larisa, any final thoughts? Bird out?
I would say she nailed it. So I think enough is said on that in this moment.
All right. We are going to go to integrate all of this because it's so much to integrate. We are going to go to our beloved brother Omashar for, and thank you, Omashar, for being with us for, gosh, almost 3 hours now.
It's my pleasure. It's like Viraja, you did nail it. I am so, I would say, triggered in about 1,000 points in my being. And then something that just came up before the camera went on me was when the student is ready, the teacher arrives, right? and these 6 agreements that are arrived at a time in my life when I really, really do need them, because it's kind of like the next step. And I'm going to sing really quickly. I'll make this short, but one thing that you were saying was about safety, and I've never felt safe in any relationship, not even with my parents, and that is what it is. And also practicing, I have the agreements here on my phone, I'm going through them, practicing radical self-acceptance. I've managed to pretty much police all my judgmental thoughts to other people, but now that I've removed most of that covering, it's me that's left, and holy smoke, am I judgmental against myself. And so stop it, right? Thank you. And one more thing, Larisa, you just said something which made me laugh out loud. And that was about being your authentic self is like everyone else is taken. So when you just be yourself, it's like, oh, there's a concept right there. So I'm going to sing this song, and I'm kind of borrowing from the 6th agreement for this song. So please take a deep breath, just let go of everything in our head so that we can refresh and come back with the 5th agreement with a renewed sense of curiosity.
The awakening world is rising through our hearts, through our lives, as we take the next steps together, walking tall, no disguise. Here we go again, loving all we see, lift each other up, let each other be, healing all the past, healing you and me, loving all that's gone, loving what's to be, the awakening world, the awakening world, the awakening world, the awakening world. Nothing left to say, nothing left to do. Let your spirit shine, let your spirit through. 'Cause time is what we have, time to think anew. Let inspiration flow, let inspiration through. Everybody can sing, and you, Jennifer, awakening world, the awakening world, the awakening world, the awakening world. 'Cause here we go again, loving all we see, lift each other up, let each other be, healing all the past, healing you and me, loving all that's gone, and loving what's to be.
Fantastic. Let's all twinkle our beloved brother Omashar. I love that song. I'm gonna have it in my head all night now, you know.
I know you will, which is very cool. That's the point of a pop song. But these are, you can't hear me, can you?
I hear you perfectly.
Oh, you could. I didn't change my thingamajig. As a musician, you have to change all these things to go from one mic to another, and it gets confusing. But yes, it's the hook, metaphysical pop, right there. It gets in and it doesn't leave you.
It's true. Your songs always are like, whatever your song is, it's like, that's in my head until the next Omashar night.
And that was one, of course, written specifically for this show. And I'm not struggling, but pushing my way through a 10-album song. I've just completed the first song. I spent maybe 60 hours in the last 4 days just polishing and polishing and polishing. Anyway, whatever. Namaste.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we
Thank you,
all needed
Larisa.
to move. Like we needed to move that energy and we needed to come together in that frequency right then. Thank you. That was beautiful.
And thank everybody who dances. I so love how beloved Eleanor Joy and Reverend Jeffrey and all of our friends dancing and moving. And remember, everybody, we can support Omashar by going to Bandcamp. It's omashar.bandcamp. That's where his albums are. Please support our beloved brother. Well, Larisa, would you like to introduce Michelle?
Yes, I would love to introduce this woman. I met Michelle. I believe I met you first, probably at one of Shakti Tribe's events, and you
Yep.
were just dancing your heart out, and you were singing. And then I got to know you and at all these different events where you have always shown up to really to lift others up. Like you MC, you're always there, like for causes that you believe in. Um, we both were on the front lines for quite a bit together, and you were the inspiration really for me as well in your work in San Onofre. Um, and we partnered in that. And you've always been just this person of like pure heart and service and caring about the we so deeply. And you have a way of being so inclusive um, that is just truly inspiring. So I'm so grateful that you were able to make it here with us tonight and to share our fifth agreement, which you were so awesome at.
Oh,
I've seen
thank
you in action on this one with people, that have maybe a different beliefs, different values, and the way you just honor people. So I would love for you to share.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody here for all the comments, all the anchoring in of these 6 agreements, because this is the time. There's no other time than now, right now, to do what we're doing and bring us all together in this space of the we. And Larisa, your vision, and just Scott for holding that vision and bringing us all together. I just thank you so much. And Viraja, seeing Viraja again, I met Viraja at your house, Larisa, and she was on those front lines with us as well. She probably did a lot more than I did. She was on camera and such a passionate mama bear. And hearing you tonight, Viraja, I am so inspired. I'm like, she has to be, now that you're back in Southern California, please come to Awakening Code Radio Tuesday night, and let's get you on to Awakening Code Radio to share what you just shared tonight, Viraja. I know you've been a guest on our show before, but I think it's time again. I think Larisa's probably been on our show more than anybody every single year for the 10 years we've been on the air. And I really feel, Viraja, what you're sharing is so important and so impactful right now. So many people need that message the same way we need the WEvolution message. So I'm going to put that out there before. Do I have a yes? Do I have a yes? Yes. So yeah, we could also talk about your event, with you and Scott doing this event coming up. So I want to be inclusive here and start right here, right on the air, and do that.
Well, in the spirit of inclusivity, so people know what we're talking about, she has been doing this radio broadcast, Awakening Code Radio, for almost over 10 years, right? And amazing podcast. So you can go to the website. I just put the link into the chat box, and all the podcasts, you can go back and find them, listen to them. She's had so many of our favorite people on, and you've been carrying this torch a long time. Look at all the podcast shows she's done. Look at that. Incredible. So Michelle, thank you so much for your dedication. And I got so excited when I learned you were going to be able to be with us tonight. It was like, yes, Michelle's going to be here too. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to. I thought I was going to be off grid this weekend celebrating my podcast partner, Eric Rankin's birthday was the 19th. So we have a lot of birthdays that we're celebrating here. And I'm just so grateful to be here and share in this uplifting time together. And Larisa, you just nailed it with the way that you made these 6 agreements so that we can all practice them. And it is such a great reminder. Each one of them, I have really, I didn't raise my hand only because I wanted more people to speak, and I knew I would be speaking, the 5th agreement. So but I thought I was resonating with every single one of them and wanted, kind of like jumping out of my skin, like, oh my gosh, I have so much to share. But I want to get to the respect each other, because I think that's such an important piece of where we're at right now, this moment in time where we are having the invitation and we are being tasked to really put that into action and to embody it. So I'm going to read it, and then I'll reflect a little bit more on my story. So the respect each other agreement number 5. You don't have to agree with another's beliefs to be thoughtful and considerate in your communication. Refrain from yelling, using words and body language that objectify, generalize, or dehumanize. Use language that creates connection rather than black, white, right, wrong dialogue. Before you engage in conversation, get clear on your own motivation in the exchange. Are you sharing to affirm how you think or feel and to change someone's opinion? Or are you allowing the space to create deeper understanding and connection? And I so resonate with that right now, especially now, because I find that now is a time to heal the divide. We see so many areas that are coming up either in the news or in our circles or in social media that are really trying to divide us. And rather than be divided, I think it's so important to come at another person's opinion or belief with curiosity and respect. One of the things that word respect came into the fore in my awareness greatly. I don't know why that happened. I didn't touch anything. Was when I started working a lot with our First Nation people, our Indigenous friends, doing a lot of different festivals and ceremonies and spending a lot of time with our Indigenous family. And I really wanted to understand more of what they wanted from me, what they wanted from my community. And one of the things that I was very aware of, profoundly aware of, was respect was at the top of the list. And how do we do that? How do we respect others? And one of the things they were looking for was deep listening with compassion. And so that's been something I've really found as one of my missions, is to come into conversations, opening dialogue with respect and deep listening and compassion for another person's point of view, rather than thinking about, while they're talking, thinking about what my response is going to be, rather than just listening to what they want to share. And then having a response in the moment, not trying to project what I want them to hear, but just really receiving what's on somebody's mind, especially now. Like I said, I'm finding many opportunities these days to hear everyone else's point of view and respect that point of view, whether it differs with mine or not. I think, Scott and Larisa and I did a, I don't remember which show I was on, but it was about judgment. Do you remember the name of that show, Scott? What was it called?
I think it was really at the peak of when there was a lot of no mask versus mask, vaccine versus no vaccine, good government versus bad government, Trump versus Biden, all that. There was so much polarization going on. And so you and I and Larisa did a show. I'll pull up the YouTube link to it, all about how to listen to each other, to move out of the field of judgment and into a field of listening. And it was a powerful show.
It was.
So I'll go, while you continue to talk, I'll go find it, because it's in our YouTube library, and I'll pull it up and put the link into the chat box.
I just felt like that show really inspired so many of us to look at where we're holding judgment or resentment or blame, going into blame and going into who's right versus who's wrong. And really, we all want to get to the same place. So many of us are saying the same things in different ways. One of the things, I had a conversation with Larisa earlier today, and I said that one of the things I've been doing almost in every conversation I've been having lately is asking the question, if we were at a conference with thousands of people and the speaker on the stage said, raise your hand, everybody in this room, how many of you are brainwashed? I really don't think many hands would go up. Ooh, look, we have a hand that went up. And what is the yardstick? What are we measuring that by? How do I know if I'm brainwashed because I have an opinion? And lately, I've heard from many people, and I heard the answer that I felt really brought it all around for me, which was, if I'm brainwashed, I'm so passionate about my position that I'm not willing to look at anybody else's position. Perhaps I'm brainwashed if that's the case, that I can't hear anyone else's opinion and I only want to speak mine to change someone else's mind. So that was a big one for me. And how do we know if we're hearing all of the information available to us if it's being censored on greater platforms like mainstream media or social media? If our voices are being silenced and there's censorship going on, then maybe I'm not hearing the full story. And maybe it's time to dig further and deeper and continue living in the question, to have an open mind so that I can look at other people's points of view. So I think respect is at the top of that list in terms of respecting where everyone's coming from right now, so that we're not blaming, shaming, judging, but really coming into what we're all looking for, which is more of the unity consciousness and the WEvolution. And I just absolutely love, cherish, and adore Larisa. And I think you're the one, Larisa, to bring this to the masses because of the way that you are so open-hearted and bring everybody that you meet into an open-hearted space. The only way we'll be able to get to this is through an open heart. So I just so appreciate you for bringing this forward. And I'm so excited to now have a YouTube video to be able to share so that more and more people understand 2023 is the year that we have to be in the WEvolution. We have to. I don't feel like there's any other choice. And I'm excited to be in the WEvolution.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. And I want to say, I totally receive you. And what I feel is that we, that we're doing this together, like the distinction for me, rather than just me, bringing this forward, is that this is a conversation for all of us to have. So everybody that's here tonight, like, I invite everyone to have this conversation and to spread this out, because this is like, it's like a hive, like the bees of the hive that share the nectar with the world.
Yeah. One person can't do it alone. We have to do it together. Yeah. Absolutely. And what you've done is taken a vision and executed upon that vision. Vision, what is it Brian always says? It's an Edison quote. Vision without execution is hallucination. And so for you to actually pull the trigger, execute, and we can all share that vision because it's you actually wrote it down and gave us the framework to be part of the WEvolution, and each one of us be able to share it forward. Thank you for that.
Thank you, honey. And I want to acknowledge Laurie Goldstein, who is not like, she's like you in the way that you say that some people need to kind of be behind the scenes. I've invited Laurie so many times, like, come on with me. She has been the person that was in when I was really sick. She was the one right there with me in the hospital, and she was the one that helped me to really bring this forward and curate it and worked with me on it. And she even more so than I with the script that was written, she really got in there and worked it. Like, yes, I brought put together this agreement. She helped me with that, but then she did that. So again, this is things are not what they appear to be. There's a lot of people like Scott, like you, all of us that are making this happen together. It truly is a we that's bringing this forward. So thank you, sister. Thank you for being such a support. Without the support, it wouldn't be happening.
I'm just so grateful to be a part of it and share with everybody here, especially the fact that it's such a pivotal time right now, and it's a potent time to be on a new moon in Aquarius, entering the age of Aquarius and the year of the water rabbit, which happens to be my sign as well, water rabbit. So I feel like right place, right time, right people, right reasons. Let's do this.
Woohoo, here we go.
I'm holding a vision of sometime in the future where we're all looking back at this show and the world has awakened and we are living in the beautiful global peace tribe that's living these values. And we all go back and we go, wow, look how young we all are back then. Look, wow, we really did that. And it is amazing, really giving birth to this document, this vision on the new moon in Aquarius. Somebody pointed out the new moon is closer to the earth today than it has been at any time since the year 1030, 1,000 years ago. It is truly a fortuitous time. And this is very special. This is a very, very special show.
It is. Thank you, Scott, for creating this space and
Oh,
all
my pleasure. And you know what? I think we need to move on to the final agreement.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to be here till midnight.
It's time to play.
Time to play. Where's Jason Firth? When it's time to play, it's time to say Jason Firth. Where are you? There you are.
I'm here.
Hey, Larisa, what can you say about your beautiful beloved brother?
Oh my God, he's just adorable. He's so much fun. He makes everything so much more fun. His positive attitude, his belief in people. Jason's the person that always sees the highest in everyone. He's always when it's challenging for most, he finds always the highest in people and always celebrates that. And I think, that's why he is such a playful spirit and he's so much fun to be around. I love having Jason around.
All right, well, Jason, take it away with number 6.
Thanks. This has been really fun. In a spirit of playfulness and speediness, I'll just read the beginning and the end. Play together. Get out there and play. Make music together. Find the humor in life. Play is one of the highest forms of prayer. I've been meditating to get ready for this and thought, play is so fun. What is the impediment? Why aren't we all more playful? And I think I came to 2 things, and that's what I want to talk about. One is I think we don't often always give ourselves permission to be playful. And then sometimes we might lack ideas on how to, in the life we find ourselves living, to be more playful. So I want to talk about those 2 things. I can pinpoint in my life when, as an adult, I became a more playful person. Like probably most of us, I was a super playful kid, came from a playful family, and then I went to law school at Georgetown and had all these student loans, and it was like, I have to graduate top of the class so I can get a good job to pay off these huge student loans. And so I worked really hard and studied really hard. And then I got a great job at a big firm where they billed my time out at $400 an hour. And then I was like, oh, I've got to be worth this. And you have to log your time for billing purposes every 6 minutes. So every 6 minutes you have to account for your time. And boy, did that beat the playfulness out of me to a great extent. But I was lucky enough to be asked to teach hula hoop lessons at the break at a Deepak Chopra big event for his biggest donors. And the speakers were Deepak Chopra, Oprah Winfrey, and Eckhart Tolle, and then some other people. And they were great. But the one that I really remember and that caused this change in me was this guy that talked about, it was a science guy that talked about diversity in the universe. And he said, if you look like out in a big telescope and look far, far away, you'll see that there's huge diversity. Like we look up in the starry sky and it looks like just a bunch of stars. But he says, if you get close, it's all very different. And if you go deep inside under a microscope, there's all this diversity. And then he talked about how we all think we're each a person. I'm Jason. We are who we are. This package is just one person. He says, but if you look closer, if you look chemically, you know, there's so many elements on our planet. We contain all of them. Every little element is scattered through us, even the really weird ones. He says, if you look at volume chemically, we're mostly water. We're like an ocean. And then he says, if you look organically at the cells, by mass, we are mostly like human cells with our individual DNA. But if you look at number, we're mostly not human. If in this package that we think of as ourselves, we're mostly like bacteria and yeast and all these little creatures that collaborate with the parts of us that are human cells, and it makes it all work. We're this super, as an individual, we're super diverse. And that really stuck with me, and he talked about some of these little creatures that live in us. And the one that was most memorable is he talked about there's bacteria that live on our skin. Whoa, am I here? Live on our skin that poop out lanolin. They eat dead skin cells and poop out lanolin to keep us moist. And he explained that even if you use like moisturizing, sanitizing lotion, if you wash your hands a lot, they'll get dry. And it's not because the lotion is harsh, it's because you kill all these little bacteria and then your skin goes dry. And so he said, tip, if you have to, this is good for the pandemic, if you use lots of hand sanitizer, as soon as you're done having your hands be sanitized, rub them on a warm, moist place like your armpits, and it'll repopulate with these like lanolin pooping bacteria. He says if you said, the one that really caught me because I'm a big swimmer, he says if you swim and you find the chlorine kills all these and your skin dries, put on, instead of like, oh, I've swum and taken a shower, I'm all clean, I'll put on clean clothes. Put on your used clothes first so that you can repopulate your skin with these bacteria, lanolin pooping bacteria. I just thought that was fascinating. Anyway, that was the last speech before lunch. And so I went out on this grassy knoll and ate my little vegetarian lunch. The food at the Chopa Center is delicious. And I was thinking about those little like lanolin pooping bacteria. And while I was sitting there eating lunch, one of them in my imagination that's so thankful, like raised its hand and looked up at me and said, hey, you up there, are you God? And it was such an odd question. And I started to say, no, I'm not God, I'm just Jason. And then I thought about this little bacteria. He was so sincere, like, and he seemed to be looking for God. And I'm like, well, I guess I could say I am. So I was very careful in my answer. And I said, well, little bacteria guy, I have other gods that I believe in, like my heavenly parents, but I guess to you, I am God. Is there anything I can help you with? And this little bacteria says to me, well, I've been struggling to find my life's purpose. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. What should I do? What's my life's purpose? And I was kind of baffled by this question and started to giggle because I'm like, I'm not a bacteria, I don't know. But I gave it some real thought and then said, hey, little bacteria, I don't know all that much about your job or bacteria, but as far as I'm concerned, you can really do whatever you want. If you want to eat lots of dead skin cells and make lots of moisturizing lotion for me, that's awesome. If you want to just nap for the rest of your life, I think there's plenty of you, that's fine. And he's like, but I want to know what I should do. I'm like, really, as far as I know, your life is short. I think you should just do what makes you happy. And if you want some direction, I guess you're the only bacteria that's ever spoken to me in my life. So maybe you can talk to all of the other cells around you and figure out a way to make them all really happy and to get your jobs done in a playful, happy way. Like maybe you could have a dance party while you're doing this. And I felt this little bacteria on my arm being like, oh, okay. And I said, anything else? He's like, no, I'm going to go do it. So I just relaxed and felt like how fun it was to have these little bacteria maybe relaxing and having fun and being playful while they're doing it. And I think I nodded off. And then all of a sudden the aforementioned like heavenly parents were like, Jason, wake up. Are you paying any attention to what just happened? And I'm like, yeah, I made the cells on my body a little happier. And like, at least I imagined the voice of God or my heavenly parents saying to me, honey, if you would want one of these bacteria on your arm to be happy, can you imagine how hard that's all we want for you is for you just to be happy in whatever you're doing, just be happy. Like, just like you said, this bacteria, from our perspective here, your life is going to be really short. It goes by like this. So be happy while you're living it. And that lunch hour really made a huge difference in my life. It's a silly little story, but it really did happen. And I went back to work and told my team, like, we are going to focus in our little intellectual property group at our firm on trying to be happy every day at work. We're going to be as playful as we can. We started instituting ways where we could be more playful. We all had a pile on our desk of work we could do away from our desk. And then when those piles all got full, we'd go to the park or we'd go down to the gym and do a treadmill and go through those piles of things that were usually just reading or marking up things. And before long, my group was both the funnest group and the most profitable in the firm. And it made it really easy to hire people because we got the reputation of being this fun group to work in. So I'd like you all to imagine that, like how anyone you would love, you'd want them just to be happy and playful any chance they get. Like there's a whole industry of like professional sports, right? We love watching people play. I don't particularly, because I'd rather go play myself than watch somebody else do it. But hopefully that's a little bit helpful on giving ourselves permission. I really do believe if there is a God or heavenly parents or some design to the universe, that whatever bigger thing is up in charge of us, that big thing, that God, that divine spirit would really like to watch us just playing and being happy as we go about our daily tasks. Pause there to see if anybody has anything they want to add.
First of all, people are loving you and your storytelling. So many comments about how they just love that. And the way you describe your relationship to, hey, little bacteria guy, it's just so sweet. So awesome. I'll read a few comments and then we'll see if anybody else wants to share. But that was just, I love you, Jason. I just friggin' love you. All right. Yeah, Beth writes, Jason, you are adorable. And I think we all agree. Eleanor Joy writes, many years ago in Mount Shasta, I facilitated a play shop with a group of women. It was mostly about play, including hula hoop, jumping rope, and more. So much fun. Dorina writes, I love this agreement and the reminder to play, laugh, and have more sense of humor. So sharing this funny take of the Serenity Prayer in light of fun and playfulness with all of you as a thank you for another amazing show and evening tonight. So this is a take on the Serenity Prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change direction when I see them coming, and the wisdom to not try to smack some sense into them when I can't avoid them.
Awesome.
That was great. I love it. And just a reminder to those of you watching on Facebook, please, in the future, you can still do it. Come on into our Zoom room now, and you can get all the links. There's so many links to recordings and the video and what Michelle is doing and what Viraja is doing and everything. So come on in, join the Global Peace Tribe. Come on in and get all these links, including Doreena's wonderful take on the Serenity Prayer. I'll go to gallery views if anybody has their hand up. I know it's getting late, so people, and it's we just hit 11 o'clock Kiki time. From now on, we always will refer to Central Time as Kiki time. There's Michelle has her hand up, and also Sylvia. So I'm going to go to Sylvia and then to Michelle. Sylvie, you are up.
Okay. First, in honor of a friend who considers a baby panda bear her higher power, and the first connect with the higher power every day, I'm gonna toss this panda paper balloon to Nitya and to all of you to play. Second is a story about when Nitya and I first met. He was very worried that he would be too weird for me. And I looked at him and I said, sweetie, I'm pretty sure that there will be times that you will be too weird for me and I will be too weird for you. And most of the time, the two of us will be too weird for the world in general. So over the course of our relationship, I discovered that one of the ways that he was weird for me was wanting me always to be happy. And one of the ways that I was too weird for him was that I always wanted to play. And playing was very frightening to him. And being happy was confusing to me because I wanted to play and make a difference in the world. So here's to finding space to play and be happy and to be the change in the world. Love to everyone.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
That's
You know,
awesome.
you're reminding me of my father. When I was a teenager, my father took me aside and he said, son, as you get older, you're going to discover that everyone in the world is crazy except for you and me. And frankly, son, as you're getting older, I'm beginning to wonder about you. And the point being, we all are crazy in our own wonderful and unique ways. Michelle, what do you have to say?
Well, I was so inspired to go get my heart song bear because you were sharing your bears. And I just love that you did that. I sleep with this guy right behind my head to remind me to send out loving, playful heart songs in my sleep while I'm working in my dreams and in my sleep. And so I wanted to share that. And I wanted to share that when we go out on the ocean and we see dolphins, I private charter a catamaran out of Dana Point with my podcast partner, Eric Rankin. And we bring groups of people out to be with the dolphins and the whales for exactly this reason. Because I've never met anybody that says, I saw a dolphin. They don't, when people see dolphins, they go, oh! They start squealing with delight because dolphins bring us into that vibration of joy. And so if we could all emulate the dolphins and feel ourselves gleefully jumping out of the air like they do, to feel that tickle in our tummy, that is such a great vibration to share with others. When we go on the dolphin boat, we ask everyone to leave the stress and story of our lives on the dock and to emulate the joy that the dolphins inspire in us, to be playful and to come into that heart space with each other and just love on each other and play together. So I just wanted to impart that before we all leave tonight as well. Great comments too. My gosh.
Beautiful.
Thank you. It is so much fun on your boats, honey, with the dolphins. You're so right. We need to be in that vibration more in life, the way they play.
Can you put into the chat box how people, Michelle, can you put in the chat box a link of how people can sign
You
up
know,
or learn about
That's
that?
that's so funny, Scott, because I'm one of those people who just doesn't keep up a website or anything like that. I guess, I usually will share it on my Facebook page or my Instagram page. Michelle, the number 2 hearts is where you could probably find out. And I'm also going to be on Portal to Ascensions Dolphin and Well Conference on February 19th. Go to Portal to Ascension. I think it's .org. And on February 19th, we'll be having a dolphin and whale webinar. And I'll probably announce my next dolphin boat there. I think we'll be doing it in March.
Okay. Great. And actually, Neil Gar will be on our show next week. He's going to be on. So there it is. There's portaltoascension.org. Right off the bat, you can see Heal the Divide. That was what she was just talking about. First one that came up for me on the carousel. And yeah, we love Neil and all the work he does. He'll be on the show next weekend. And you guys have one bear. This is my bear. This is my Jasmine bear, which is her name. And
Love Jasmine Bear.
so we appreciate Jasmine Bear is giving me kisses. So yes, we all got to have our teddy bears, our Jasmine bears. And she teaches me about play. Absolutely. She is like, come on, Dad, time to play. Get the hell off the computer and let's play now. So, well, it has been, I'm going to bring Viraja and Jason and Bethany on one last time. What a wonderful show. What a wonderful group tonight. I do want to do just a few quick announcements, but before I do the announcements, let's just all twinkle these wonderful presenters who have been with us for almost four hours, from going back to when we all got together and started doing sound checks and such. So thank you all so very much. And Larisa, I'll come back to you one last time in a moment after the Global Peace Tribe announcements, but thank you, Viraja, Michelle, Bethany, and Jason. You guys are all awesome, wonderful, wonderful coaches, teachers, presenters, and inspirations.
Beyond the beyond. So grateful.
I feel the soul
This was
family
really fun.
connection. Thank you.
All right, a few real quick announcements. Just it's going to happen. We are going to have a Global Peace Tribe retreat. It looks like it'll be in West Los Angeles on, again, Tuesday, March 28th. There's going to be this big Los Angeles convergence that Ben Bowler and Pato and Antoinette and myself and many others are putting together, and that'll kick off a whole week of experiences in the West Los Angeles area. And tomorrow, I'm dedicating our Sacred Sunday show to talking about it and getting your feedback and your input about our next retreat. I know that Shri and Kira are going to come up from Ecuador, and they're going to do a whole day-long event that's going to be very powerful. They were sharing with me yesterday what it's going to be. It's amazing. We've got Omashar coming in from Colorado. We've got Pookie and Bob coming in from Hawaii. And since we'll be in LA, I'm certainly hoping we can get Larisa Stow to come and be with us. So it's going to be a powerful weekend. And please, tomorrow, join us for the Sacred Sunday show. No guests planned. You are the guests. I want for people to share their offerings. I want to learn more about some of our regulars. So it'll be an opportunity for people to share what their services are, what they do. And of course, we'll be conversing about upcoming retreats. And also, what are some of the shows you guys want to hear? So it's going to be a community conversation, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 12 noon Kiki Midwest Central Time, and East Coast Time, 1 p.m. So please join us for that. And put those dates in your calendar. Last week of March, come be with us in West Los Angeles. I believe Christy Michaels is here. There she is. Christy, share with us. You got something very special happening.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Scott. I so enjoyed the conversation that has been going on. And this is why I support and love the Global Peace Tribe, because these are the conversations we need to be having about how to be authentic, fully realized, wholehearted beings that love and heal each other and are all about the healing principles. And so for me, one of the healing principles is learning how to step into my divine self. And, Viraja, you mentioned the priestess part. Well, when I became ordained as a priestess, my whole world broke open. And I mean, Scott, you probably have seen that too. It was like, it just like brought out the greatest joy, the greatest peace. And I used to work with Scott at the Sunrise Center, and I would be the one in the back of the room, like really quiet, and you go, Scott, you introduce, but suddenly when I stepped into that power of the divine love that I am and started sharing it, it was like, oh my God, it's the best. It's like being able to extend love to people. What and blessings to people. So we are the ones that we've been waiting for. So on Tuesday, January 31st, we're having the celebration of the birth and the rise of the divine feminine. Because let's get real, folks, we celebrate the birth and the rise of the divine masculine, but we don't acknowledge and celebrate the birth and the rise of the divine feminine. So a whole group of us are getting together, including Antoinette and all of her gals, that she does these incredible songs about the Divine Mother, and Elizabeth Kelly, who's of the Holy Order of Mary Magdalene, and they are going to do this fabulous, beautiful dance of awakening the sleeping lady, because women, we're 51% of the population, and if you ask any woman, are you okay with the fact that we have statistically 17,000 children a day dying of starvation on this planet? No. But we're not unified. We're not coming together as a force to be reckoned with. And so the mother feeds the babies. We take care of the children. We make sure. And if we were a unified force around the things that we can agree on, then we would make a tremendous change. So anyway, we're going to just have a rockin' great time. And have all these wonderful people. Dan Craig Morris has just come out with this fabulous new book, which is The Divine Spark Within. This man has devoted himself since he was 18 years old to discovering the Holy Sophia. And he has connected the dots about the story, about why she was suppressed. And some of us, we think, well, what does it matter that all the divine feminine stuff was suppressed? Well, the suppressed stories are the stories that empower us, because they show us the women who achieve great mastery, and they are the living demonstrations. And we'll be talking about Kathleen McGowan's new book. I don't know whether you can see, it's called The Boleyn Heresies. Just came out. Oh, sorry. I guess this is not going to. Oh, The Boleyn Heresies.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you know, in this book, she talks about the woman, Marguerite of Nazaré, I think is how she says her name. She is called the mother of the Renaissance. There was a group of 9 women that launched the Renaissance movement. And without it, we would not have had the Renaissance movement. Do you know that story? I mean, these are like amazing stories that if I was a little girl, and I have 2 little granddaughters, that I'm telling these stories to, but when I was a little girl, my mother didn't say, honey, let me tell you about the empowered women of old and what magic and wonderful things that they did, because there was no celebrating the birth and the rise of the divine feminine. So anyway, thank you guys all for dedicating your lives into this work of bringing people together, raising up the consciousness to these beautiful principles. And Scott, I so love and adore you, and I appreciate all the wonderful work. And Larisa, Omashar, everybody here. You're like my new family.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Christy.
Well, we look forward again, everybody. That's January 31st, Tuesday. That's a week from this Tuesday, 7 o'clock Pacific time. And definitely, Christy, please put the link into the chat box where people can register.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.info for those on Facebook.
Gospel
Christy, is that a live event? I'm sorry, is it a live
It's
event
an online event. However, this year we will be going live for the 13th annual Magdalene Moonrise service at Unity in Marin, which I'm very excited about. That usually we have hundreds of people come, and it's a very powerful, interactive acknowledgement of the role that Magdalene played as a high priestess in the Easter resurrection ceremonies. So thank you.
I put the link into the chat, everybody. And again, it's for those on Facebook and YouTube, gospelofmarymagdalene.info. And speaking of YouTube, again, I always thank him, but he's right here with us. A big thank you to Alan Steinfeld, who always carries the Awakening World on his YouTube channel, New Realities. And Alan is going to be my co-host next weekend. So Alan, I'm going to put the spotlight on you and share with us a little bit about what we have to look forward to next week.
Well, thank you, Sky. I just have to say this program has had a lot of love and a lot of presence of the divine feminine coming through. So it was a really beautiful offering of love. All my favorite divine feminines are there. Michelle, Larisa, my new friend Krista, and this woman Christy, and everyone. We're coming into that time. We're coming into this awakening to balance. It's not the feminine over the masculine, but
right.
The ancient Native Americans say you can't fly with only one wing. So we're gaining our wings to fly. But next week, can I share my screen here? I'm hosting the show where the basis will be the ancient galactic wisdom. We're going to have some of these people who are speaking at this Portal to Ascension conference on our show next week, Scott, as our guest. I got Rebecca Fitzgerald. I think Vivian's going to come, and Victoria Reynolds, but also on the whole day, two-day event on Portal, we have Chris Griscom. You remember Chris Griscom, Scott? Wait, I didn't hear you.
I was muted. Yes, I do remember Chris Griscom, and I haven't heard from Chris Griscom in a long time.
Well, I'm bringing her back. She's been around for a while. She wrote Ecstasy is a New Frequency. She was the first to talk about galactic consciousness before anyone ever knew what that meant. So I don't think she can make our show, but she's going to be on this workshop. So we're going to focus on this merging of ancient wisdom and what we're coming into as higher dimensional beings as we make the shift. I really think 2023 and all the motions of planets in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius, it is a leap up to a different way, a different consciousness, a different way of understanding reality. So this is what will be presented on your show and also all next weekend. So I'm really happy about that. I'm also going to be at the Conscious Life Expo. I'll be at the Sedona Ascension Retreats. We're coming into really the time of ascension, as your old partner, Deborah Giusti, likes to talk about. And so we are really in exciting times. We are in a phase shift of going from the old way of thinking, and we've been at it, most of us, for so long, but now something is solidifying. And this show, which I've been carrying, like you said, for the last 2 years at least, is bringing that community together. So I'm always happy to be a part of it and meet all of our friends, our community. So I'm looking forward to next week when we really go into ancient galactic wisdom and the root knowledge of who we are as humans, which are extraterrestrial. I say we are the extraterrestrials. We are part of the cosmos. And these earth bodies, like I talked to Larisa about these animal bodies. You remember we talked about that, Larisa? Are just the avatars to convey the higher knowledge that is now coming online as we awaken to new realities. Anything about that, Larisa?
Well, Ellen, you know how much I love you. And that's an amazing, fun conversation to have. I always
Right.
love diving into those conversations with you.
What you know what I love about Larisa, she, like she said in the conversation, in the interview I did with her, we did together, she leans into it. That was such a beautiful piece. All the hardships and hard times you've been involved and connected with, you lean into it so you can gain the most from it.
Mhm.
That was amazing teaching. So thank you. Thank you for,
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
Always have fun with you.
thanks. I'll see you soon. And Scott, thank you.
See you next week, buddy. And
Okay.
pop in one more time the link. If you haven't, voted for Alan's book yet tonight, please do so. And looking forward to, again, hopefully seeing many of you at the Conscious Life Expo. Alan and I will both be there. And we're going to be doing the Awakening World. So if you're at the Conscious Life Expo, I know Krista is going to be there. We're going to have people coming on into my room where I'll be doing the Awakening World.
I'll be speaking with JJ and Desiree Hertog about the multidimensional being and a special free workshop there. So everyone's invited. If you're coming to the expo, join us for the free workshop. We're really going to go into it. And you know, JJ, he's one of the two been to the other side and back and can bring in that knowledge. So I'm excited. I'm happy to see you again. It's been, we're coming on our 30th anniversary, 35th anniversary, Scott.
I know, it'll be 30 years since Alan and I have met. So
that's right.
Brother, take care. I will work with you this week, and I'll see you, of course, on Saturday. Next Saturday night, Alan, and the Galactic Experience. Well, Larisa, what can I say? What a beautiful show. And thank you so much for the inspiration for this. And I'm going to turn over to you for any final thoughts.
Honestly, I think everything has really been said so beautifully tonight from the WESpace. Everyone contributed so much, and I just continue to look forward to hearing how we all work with these agreements, with ourselves and with others. I want to see it spread. Take it out there. It's like we are in this together. All of us are in this together. So it's up to us to spread this, to be this. We can't expect everybody to be like this, but we can work on ourselves.
Beautiful.
So I invite us all just to work these muscles, and then it will spread through us that way. Love you all. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
And I love that this, like 75% of our Zoom audience is still with us. And we're going to close. Usually we close with Omashar song, but we're actually going to close with a final Bethany video. It's so sweet and such a perfect way to close the evening. And while we're listening to her play this very archetypal song on her violin, we can all do some final chats with each other as well. So here we go. I think you're all going to love this. And I'm just going to pull it up right now. I think it may even bring some tears for some of you. I know that when I heard it tonight or earlier today, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely got to play this for sure. Oh, it's not letting me do it one way, but it did do it the other way earlier today. So give me a moment here. Here she is playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Who's got tears in their eyes right now? Whose hearts are just overflowing right in this moment? Yeah. What a beautiful, beautiful way to spend to end such an incredibly beautiful evening.
Mhm. So
Wonderful.
So beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bethany.
Thank you. Bless you all.
Bethany, the depth of your feeling comes out in your music. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love that you brought in the spirit of our beloved Yogananda, who is such an important being to so many of us, maybe to all of us. So it was beautiful having Yogananda watching you and watching us, if you will, while you play and while we play. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I'm going to go to gallery view, say goodnight, much love, and I hope to see all of you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Thank you for a beautiful, beautiful night.
Thanks, Scott.
Good night. So much love. All love.